All right, let's see if anybody's awake here. It's 1:51 a.m. on Monday, Memorial Day, May 27th. This is James Spann, and thought we would go live since we now have a tornado warning in effect for parts of Jackson and Madison counties up in the Tennessee Valley. So let's go right to the radar and discuss the current situation. You can see the red polygon. That's the tornado warning that's currently in effect, and we'll pop on the velocity display. The Weather Service in Huntsville issuing a tornado warning for this spot right here. This is going to be northeast of the city of Huntsville. And this does not include the city of Huntsville. This includes basically northeastern Madison County and the extreme northern part of Jackson County. This is basically from Skyline North up to the Tennessee state line. So again, we have a tornado warning in effect for northeastern Madison County and northern Jackson County. This is in effect this morning until 2:30 a.m. And again, this is going to be a night of and a morning of watching these storms, and that we've got favorable shear conditions for a few isolated tornadoes for the northern part of the state where a tornado watch is currently in effect. And again, the spot we're concerned about, as you can see, is northeast the city of Huntsville. And again, you can see that the thing has been broadly rotating for the past 15 to 20 minutes or so. And again, the spot we're concerned about is located right here. And again, this is going to be a little southeast of Hazel Green, northeast of Huntsville. And again, near Moore's Mill. That's going to be coming right up toward the community of Newmarket. And then from there, it's going to be moving over into Jackson County. So it's never a good thing to have these warnings in the middle of the night here, but hopefully people have weather radios and you're awake and you're watching. So if you are in that polygon, and understand Huntsville is not, but if you're in northeastern Madison County and northern Jackson County from Skyline North up to High Top, you want to be sheltered. And again, in a site-built house, that's a small room, lowest floor, near the center, no windows, and of course the great concern, no mobile homes. And I know it's the middle of the night, and the last thing you want to do is to go to a shelter, but we don't want anybody in a vehicle or a mobile home here. Worst possible place you can be. Mobile homes, wonderful, safe, affordable housing, but you can't stay there when you're in a tornado warning. So again, if you're in this particular polygon, the object of the game here is to respect the polygon and be sheltered. And again, there's kind of a broader view. And that particular rotation is right there, approaching Newmarket. And understand that in Jackson County, if you're in Scottsboro, you're not in the polygon. If you're in Bridgeport, you're not. You'll have to watch this, and we'll see if the rotation stays in place. If you're in Stevenson, you're not. But if you're in Skyline, High Top, Newmarket, you're in that polygon. And this also clips a small part of Franklin County, Tennessee, not Franklin County, Alabama, Franklin County, Tennessee. And again, the warning is in effect until 2:30 this morning. And again, we stress Huntsville is not close to this. Some of the legacy systems warn county-wide. And of course, we moved away from county warnings years and years ago to storm-based warnings using polygons, and that's why we have some of the crazy sayings we have. But again, this is the rotation itself is about 14 miles northeast of Huntsville, moving east. And again, this is for extreme northeastern Jackson County and also parts of northeastern Madison County and parts of Jackson County. Just checking to be sure that we're all streaming here okay. And I think we are. We're simulcasting on both YouTube and Facebook early this morning. And I thought what I would do here is to kind of show a big picture, if you will. I'll take off the velocity very quickly, and I want to expand this out and show that we've got other storms that are forming over the northern part of Alabama where there's a tornado watch in effect. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for parts of Franklin, Lawrence, Morgan, Limestone counties, and also parts of Colbert and Lauderdale. That's for that line coming in from Tennessee. And you can see the idea here. We've got these individual storms that have formed out ahead of that main line. And again, these are over the northern third of the state. The main line will be coming in later this morning. And with most of the storms this morning, with most of them, the main concern will be from strong, potentially damaging straight line winds. But understand there could be an isolated tornado or two, like we have the tornado warning in effect now. And that's the reason we're live at this point. So again, we've got a tornado warning in effect for the extreme northeastern part of Madison County and Jackson County. Really quickly, let me show the tornado watch. This is in effect until 8 a.m., and this includes North Alabama, parts of Mississippi, and a small part of Arkansas, Louisiana. In Alabama, the tornado watch is in effect for Lamar, Fayette, Walker, Cullman, Marshall, DeKalb counties, and points north. It does not include Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden. The storm should weaken as they move south of US 278 later this morning, south of Hamilton, Cullman, Gadsden. And the chance of severe storms for, again, those cities, relatively low. I don't think we'll have a watch in effect for any of those cities. Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden. The main concern, that northern third of the state. And the watch will be canceled, I think, easily before 8 o'clock as the storms begin to weaken after about 4 o'clock. But again, just be aware that if you're from, again, places like Jasper, Fayette, Cullman, Millport, Kennedy, Aniana, Boaz, Fort Payne North, you have to be kind of weather aware this morning. We've also got watches that extend up to parts of Tennessee, as you can see there. So let's go right back to the radar. Again, let's kind of get back up to the storm of concern. And at this point, we want to stress we just have one tornado warning in the entire state. And it is for the rotation that is located near the community of Newmarket. And again, it's going to be right in through here. And this is about 15 miles northeast of the city of Huntsville. And we are on the chat session here with the National Weather Service in Huntsville. And so far, this is radar-based. We don't see any debris being lofted. We don't see any reports. Of course, understand that it's dark. We obviously don't have a lot of folks out on these storms at this hour here, and we're live at coming up on 2 a.m. But again, no reports of any damage, no confirmed tornado here. This is radar indicated, but still, if you're in a polygon, the object of the game here is to respect it and get into a safe place. As you know, this system produced some very deadly tornadoes yesterday and really earlier today in areas well to the north and west of Alabama. And we do not want anybody hurt or injured or no fatalities as a result of this. So again, we're watching this spot right in through here. It's not the tightest circulation you'll ever see, but again, from time to time, it has been relatively tight. And again, watching the various reports coming in, and we've not seen any damage reports so far, which is a good thing. But again, considering it's 2 a.m., if anything there, it's rain-wrapped. And again, we'll check the correlation coefficient product, and there's no debris being lofted at this point, which is what you're seeing on the right-hand side of the screen there. And again, that's a marvelous product. It puts all of the returns in a bin, and it looks at the type of returns, and if there's not a good correlation, it drops a negative spot there, which means it's not a hydrometeor. It's not a raindrop or a hailstone. It's something else. It's a tree limb, leaves, parts of a building, tornado debris, if you will. And so again, this is not a confirmed tornado. It is radar indicated. But keep in mind, if you do have something there, it takes a little while for the debris to be lofted. But this is pretty close to the radar site. In fact, you can see the high top radar site is actually in the polygon. And we should mention that there are no people at these radar sites like high top. It's totally automated. Nobody is there, so they don't have to. The radar doesn't go down. It keeps on working. But again, that particular polygon extends over into Jackson County, not including Scottsboro. And again, we'll stress that. We got a lot. This is Memorial Day. A lot of folks are camping around the Lake Guntersville, the Tennessee River. This is, at this point, north of the river. Doesn't include places like Langston down toward Lake Guntersville, but it's for areas to the north of there. And the danger is now clearly east of US 231. And again, if you're in Hazel Green, in fact, I'll just draw 231. This is 231 right here. So the danger is in this area right in through here. So again, if you're along US 231, points west, this is well to the east of you now. The concern is shifting over into Calhoun County. And in addition to the possibility of a brief tornado here, understand this thing could also be producing some hail. In fact, it probably is. I would say the greatest chance of hail is in this segment right here, just a little to the northwest of Skyline. It'd be along Highway 146. And then again, the rotation here is awfully broad. It's not really a classic tornado signature here. This area right in through here, but it's clearly much broader than it was about 10 minutes ago. And again, the Weather Service will watch multiple volume scans, and obviously the right thing to do. You just don't cancel a warning if the rotation becomes broad, because it might be cyclic. It might want to tighten right back up here in a few minutes, and you don't want to issue a warning and then cancel it, then reissue it, and then cancel it. You just want to watch some volume scans here. So again, the trend is good in that we've got broad rotation, but I will say there's pretty good evidence of some pretty strong wind in through here. In fact, we're seeing some inbound wind in the 59 mile per hour bracket right there in that segment of the storm. And again, this is about 900 feet off the ground, pretty close to the radar. We've been getting a good low-level sample because it's so close to the radar. So it's not going to take much to get those 60 mile per hour winds down to the surface. So even if there's no tornado here, strong straight-line winds are certainly likely. So again, let's go back to the big picture, if you will. If you're just joining us here, it's 2:04. This is James Spann. We've got a tornado warning in effect for the extreme northeastern part of Madison County up in the Tennessee Valley and the northern part of Jackson County. And this is for areas north of Scottsboro for what could be a tornado in that cluster of storms there. It's very broad at this point. We also should mention there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect here for parts of Lawrence County into Morgan County. And I would say we've got some pretty decent hail falling right in through here in that segment of the storm just south of Cortland. So the two main concerns here with most of these storms, including this one, would be from large hail and strong straight-line winds. In fact, let's pop on a product here. Let's do VIL, Vertical Integrated Liquid. And, yeah, that's most likely some pretty large hail, 51 kilograms per cubic meter in that storm that's south of Cortland. So pretty good chance we've got large hail falling there, but no evidence of any rotation. So there's no tornado warning in effect there. That is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of Lawrence and Morgan counties. And again, the core, that hail core, is north of Moulton. And again, just south of Cortland. It'll be approaching Hillsboro. And also that we should mention, we have a severe thunderstorm warning over here for parts of Franklin County for that thunderstorm cluster, and that extends down into Marion County as well. Again, no sign of any rotation here. The main concern, it's coming from large hail and strong straight line winds. And then up here, we've got this main line over Tennessee. And so far, the storms over Tennessee have been relatively behaved, especially coming through Nashville. They had some loud thunder. And again, we've got, because of that main line, we've got severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Lauderdale and Colbert counties. That would include the Shoals. And again, you can see that main line segment beginning to push into the northeastern corner of the state. But again, the focus will be on this particular storm. This is the thunderstorm that has prompted the tornado warning. And again, you can see that red polygon that is covering extreme northeastern Madison and Jackson counties. And again, the good news, the circulation is very broad. And that broad circulation is about to cross over from Madison County into Jackson County. But the area that we've been watching is right in through here. And again, the main concern is kind of shifting at this point over to strong, perhaps potentially damaging straight line winds. Again, you can see the winds. There's a 58 inbound, 58 mile per hour wind. And this is, again, at 800 feet. Of course, the way it works, the radar beam gets higher as it gets farther away from the radar site because the Earth curves. And so when you look at these velocities on radar, understand that the beam is not at the surface. It's aloft. But again, it's clearly running in the mid-50s in there. And some of that could mix down to the surface very easily since this is only 700, 800 feet off the ground. And we're kind of in a favorable area to some degree. I will say this, as you get farther east, the parameters are not as favorable. This is the current STP, the significant tornado parameter, coming from the SPC site. Let me zoom in here just a little bit, and you can see that we've got the significant tornado parameter is at 9 over southern or southwestern Tennessee and North Mississippi, and the numbers are not quite as high over North Alabama. Still certainly sufficient for a few isolated tornadoes, but at the moment, this is a composite index. This takes into several different parameters, but you can see the better parameters for a tornado or over extreme North Alabama, and especially back over West Tennessee down into North Mississippi and parts of South Arkansas. That's where the instability values are higher. Instability values not quite as high over northeast Alabama. So as the ongoing storm moves farther to the east, it gets into a little more stable environment. And again, the tornado parameters aren't quite as high there. So again, it's 2:09, and I know it's the middle of the night. One nice thing about doing this, we're not cutting off your favorite program. Of course, at 2:09 a.m., if we cut off some TV program, it would be Ginsu Knives or Pocket Fisherman. And by the way, those things are great. I've always wanted a Pocket Fisherman. But whatever. We're not having to cut off any programming here since we're just on YouTube and Facebook. And we're here for this tornado warning polygon that's in effect for extreme northeastern Madison County and northern Jackson County. And again, at one point we had the rotation looked a whole lot better than this. It's very broad. And they're going to continue the warning. We're watching the Weather Service chat out of Huntsville. And I trust me, I understand this. If you've got, kids, you had to wake them up, you had to bring them down to the basement, or if you've been in a mobile home and you had to take them to a place that's open 24/7, some type of community shelter, I understand. It is so inconvenient, and the quicker this thing gets over, the better. And we all are cognizant of that in the weather enterprise, and that we've all raised kids, and we've been there, and we've done that. We've been hit by a tornado here. We feel your pain, but again, it's a course of least regret. So the Weather Service are going to keep watching for a few more volume scans, and if the rotation looks like that, then ultimately they'll cancel this. This is scheduled to expire in about 20 minutes at 2:30 anyway. But still, as long as the polygon is there, the encouragement here is to respect it and hang in there. Is there a tornado down at the moment? I don't think so. Not with a signature like that. But again, it could be cyclic, and all of a sudden this thing could ramp right back up in a minute or two with another volume scan. So just hang tight. If you're watching on your phone, we'll sit here right with you until this thing goes away. So quickly, let's kind of expand it out, look at these other storms across the Tennessee Valley. We've got multiple tornado warnings in effect for these storms. And again, you can see the motion here. These are moving from southwest to northeast, your classic direction during severe weather here. And we've got one warning that's in effect for parts of Lawrence, Morgan, and Limestone counties. And another warning in effect for parts of Franklin, Colbert, and Lauderdale counties for this incoming batch coming in from Tennessee and that new batch coming in from Franklin County. So let's kind of tour these really quickly. And again, this is the storm that is near Hillsborough right here. This is probably producing some small hail. And again, we are watching your reports, and we're very thankful for that. And also, we've probably got some hail falling here around Trinity, and ultimately that's moving in the general direction of Decatur, which is right here. And again, the main concern here, it's coming from hail, and there could be some strong straight-line winds as well. Keep in mind, for a storm to be technically severe, the winds have to be 58 miles per hour or greater, or hail has to be 1 inch in diameter or larger. So again, we've got the potential for large hail and strong winds in that particular storm. Let's go back down into Franklin County and Marion County, and it's the same thing. I would imagine any hail in here would be relatively small. There could be some small hail falling just to the east of Russellville, maybe near Hackleburg and Phil Campbell. But again, that's the storms down here are not quite as strong. And, of course, we're also watching the storms that are moving in from Tennessee. So really quickly, let's look at those. We'll switch radar views. And there's kind of a big picture showing the big situation across the Deep South. And you can see the main line beginning to push into the northwest corner of the state. And at one point, we did have a few tornado warnings for Tennessee up around Jackson, but we see the only tornado warning in effect across the Deep South is that one for extreme northeastern Madison and northern Jackson counties, and that's it. The other warnings are all severe thunderstorm warnings, and these will be pushing through the northern third of the state over the next few hours. And again, if you're just joining us early this morning, real quick, we'll take a look at the tornado watch. And this is until 8 a.m., and this will be canceled before 8 a.m. for most places. But the southernmost counties in the watch are Lamar, Fayette, Walker, Cullman, Marshall, Blunt, and DeKalb. If you're in those counties and points north, that's the tornado watch until 8 o'clock this morning. And again, this thing's had a history of producing some pretty significant tornadoes. This was one up in Missouri yesterday that was sent to me. And by the way, for all these images I show, they were sent to me. A lot of these guys that do the streaming, they just rip people off. They just take images at random. And these chasers work hard. They spend a lot of money for this. And if they send it to me and give me permission to use it, I'm honored. But I do not use any video that was not sent to me. But again, that was in Missouri earlier today. This was one up in western Kentucky. This was near Paducah, Kentucky earlier today. And again, you'll see this one beginning to drop as well. And of course, Saturday evening and Saturday night, we had big tornadoes in parts of Texas and Oklahoma with loss of life. I believe the death toll, the last time I saw it, was about 15. And this is the same system. Now, the parameters are not the same over Alabama as what they had in Texas and Oklahoma Saturday night, or really earlier today in Missouri, but it's been producing that. But in Alabama, we've seen a lot of that. These doorbell cameras catch some pretty good lightning strikes. That was taken up in, I want to say, northwest Alabama earlier tonight. So let's go right back to the radar, and we'll kind of focus on that. This is the big picture. We've got many, many severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, and we have one tornado warning that's in effect. And again, the warning is now in effect exclusively for the northern part of Jackson County. The Madison County has been taken out of that. In fact, let's kind of stop this and let's take a look. We'll go back over to High Top, and it's a relatively small polygon. And again, we stress this does not include Scottsboro. It does not. And this is the dual look. You can see on the left, that's reflectivity. On the right, that's velocity. And again, we just don't see a tornado signature at this point. Strong winds, yes. Tornado, no, at this point. Earlier, it was much tighter, and that's what prompted this warning. But for the last several volume scans, it's just not looked that good. Having said that, the Weather Service in Huntsville is still leaving it up under the thought that it might re-intensify and re-tighten. So for the northern part of Jackson County, and again, just be aware that you've got that warning that's still in effect. The road you see right here that cuts down by the radar site down to Skyline from High Top, that's Alabama Highway 79. And again, that's the main north-south route in this polygon. And of course, the one thing we don't want people to do is travel. And I don't think we have many people that would be driving at 2:16 a.m. on Memorial Day. But if by chance you're watching this or listening in a car, and if you're on Highway 79, we just don't want you driving into the polygon. We've, again, the two worst possible places to be during a tornado would be a car, any type of vehicle, or a mobile home. And I'll shoot straight with you guys. Our biggest challenge, it's for those that live in manufactured housing. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Manufactured housing, it offers wonderful, safe, affordable housing. I will tell you, it really does. And we have to do better in the weather enterprise for people that live in mobile homes. The typical lead time for a tornado warning is about 12 to 15 minutes. That's the average lead time. But we understand that for a lot of people that live in mobile homes, it takes them more than 12 to 15 minutes to get to a community shelter or a gas station that's open 24/7 or a fast food restaurant or some place that can offer shelter. And I've said it before, and I'll say it here. I think there needs to be some type of intermediate product between a watch and a warning for people that live in manufactured housing. I don't think it's realistic to expect people to sit in a community shelter for 6 hours during a tornado watch. Those places are not very pleasant. Boy, they're safe, but they're not very pleasant. And sitting in that thing for 6 hours, I don't think that's reasonable. But I do think people will sit there for 1 hour. And I just think we as a weather enterprise need to look at this and come up with a coordinated message in the professional weather enterprise where we all say the same message, where it doesn't matter if you're watching me or Joe Blow or, Uncle Tom or whoever, we're all going to say the same thing. The Weather Service, we're going to give the same type message and coordinate that. We can do that fairly easily. So again, I understand how hard it is at this hour of the day to be in a safe place. But again, the good news, looking at this, the rotation is very broad and the odds of a tornado at this given moment are small. But remember, as long as that sucker's there, what are you going to do? Respect the polygon. And this is the only tornado warning polygon we have here at 219. And watching the reports from social and everything else, we just don't see any evidence of damage from this. We have not seen any reports of damage at all. We do have a report of hail in Skyline or in areas west of Skyline. And again, small hail is likely in this storm. I would say at the moment, looking at the reflectivity, you're not going to get really large hail, but most likely some small hail is falling. Of course, obviously it's pouring and it's very loud and it's very obnoxious. You get these things in the middle of the night, it's just not good. And again, I promise we'll go look at the other storms in a second, but this is the only tornado warning we currently have in effect here. And it is for extreme northern Jackson County. And again, Jackson County is pretty big. For those that don't know, this is the northeastern corner of Alabama. Beautiful county. Goodness gracious. It's you got the mountains, you got the river. It just doesn't get any better. And if you're watching us up in Bridgeport, Stevenson, absolutely keep a close eye on this. But again, the good news, the instability values are a little lower as you go farther east. The shear value's a little lower, which means conditions are not quite as favorable for tornadoes in that part of the state. But again, still, the rotation did look fairly tight for a couple of volume scans, and we're just kind of watching for any sign of intensification here. So let's look at the other storms really quickly. Huntsville is relatively quiet for now. Madison is quiet. But a big old storm is sitting on top of Decatur. It's a whopper, and most likely some pretty large hail is falling right there. I would suggest that could easily be greater than 1 inch in diameter. And again, that hail core is going to come right over I-65. I-65 is right here. That's Interstate 565 going over to Huntsville. So again, a pretty good hail core is about to come over Interstate 65, and you don't want to be driving when there's a big hail core. That's not a good thing. You watch the chaser videos and you see the cracked windshields and everything else. It's just that would ruin your day. We're trying to keep people's Memorial Day happy here. But there's no sign of any rotation in the storm that's over Decatur or in Morgan County. And again, loud, obnoxious, pouring rain, absolutely. We'll keep going down to the southwest, and again, we've got storms in progress over Lawrence County. Again, out here toward Hatton, back down toward Phil Campbell, Hackleburg, a little south of Russellville. Some small hail is most likely falling in there. But again, large hail probably not likely. And farther to the south, we note showers are forming down to the south in parts of Fayette, Walker, Winston counties, and those are not severe. I know there's thunder. I know there's lightning. I know it's raining heavily. But I say this a lot. If I were to ask 20 different people, what does a severe thunderstorm mean to you? We would get 20 different answers. And a lot of people, they'll get on the line and talk to us, and they'll go, hey, I'm mad at you. You're not on TV because I got a severe thunderstorm in my area, and you're not on TV. And I'll ask them, why do they think the storm is severe? And they say, well, there's loud thunder, it's raining heavily, and it's a mean-looking cloud. And, if we issued a warning every time you had loud thunder and raining heavily and a mean-looking cloud, it would just be all warnings all the time. And even as it is, we don't know if people do anything when there's a severe thunderstorm warning. And I think there are too many warnings. We've got to get the false alarm ratio down. We have to do that. So even though it's loud and it's pouring rain, there might be some small hail, that doesn't make a storm severe. The only two things that make a storm severe, 58-mile-per-hour winds or greater, or hail 1 inch in diameter or larger. That's the size of a quarter. So that's the criteria. So once again, here's kind of the big picture for the northern part of Alabama. If you're just joining us, we're live at 2:23. Never say happy Memorial Day, because if you know what this day is about, it's not happy to think about what happened. We're here to honor those that gave everything, their lives for us, and that's not happy. But we should pause and think about that. But whatever. Hope you're having a good 3-day weekend. A lot of people are. And we're up early this morning for a batch of storms that we expected to come through at this hour of the day. And they have prompted some warnings. And we have one tornado warning. This is for extreme northern Jackson County. This is basically skyline up toward High Top near the radar site there. This does not include Scottsboro. And the rotation is very broad at this point. The warning's going to expire in 6 minutes. And I guess the Weather Service in Huntsville would just leave it and let it go at 2:30. But we see no other sign of rotation here. And again, with all of these storms early this morning, I really do think the main concern, it's going to be from strong straight-line winds and hail, and maybe a few isolated brief tornadoes like the warning we're discussing here. And just a big old massive rain coming down from Tennessee. And again, as you look back to the north, you can see when the storms came through Nashville, they were quite well behaved, and sure, it was loud and noisy and heavy rain. And yes, we've had a few tornado warnings over Tennessee earlier, but no more. And the line itself is about to kind of creep into the northwestern corner of the state. That's the reason for the severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for parts of Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin. And ahead of that main line, we have that batch you see through North Alabama. And we'll watch him like a hawk. I said this many, and by the way, the warning has been canceled. The Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning for Jackson County, so this is good news. So if you are watching us in northern Jackson County, you can carry on. Go back to bed. And here's another question we get all the time in a situation like this. Can I go to bed? Can I go to bed? Can I go to sleep? Listen, you don't have to stay up all night like we do and watch these. That's what we do. If you have a weather radio, NOAA weather radio, in your home, in your bedroom, go to sleep. That sucker will wake you up. If a weather radio doesn't wake you up, you're dead. So trust me, they're loud and they work great. And you don't need to stay up all night. And sure, weather weenies, dweebs, nerds, dorks, geeks that are interested in this stuff, they'll stay up all night because they're interested. But for most people, and again, if this was a normal Monday, most folks would have to go to work here in a few hours. And so that's why it's absolutely critical, just absolutely critical to have a weather radio. We talk about this a lot, and it's just cell phones are great. They serve a very important purpose, and it's wonderful. But at night, many of the phones creep into the do not disturb mode, or the sleep mode, and it becomes a problem. So we prefer for the weather radio to be your main source. And I will say very quickly that we've teamed up with Midland. This is the main manufacturer of weather radios. And it's just critical to have one of these. And if you order it directly through them, we've got this 25% offer through our show Weather Brains. And the promo code is SPAN, my last name, SPANN25. And if you go through MidlandUSA.com, the one everybody uses around here, it's the WR120, the white one. But that crank radio is great if you travel, you're a boater. But again, I'll go back to that before we wrap this up and give you the details. But MidlandUSA.com, and the code is SPAN25, SPANN25. So, all right, back to business here. So this is where we are now. We're live at 2:27. Well, the Weather Service has decided to extend the tornado warning. They canceled it, and now they just reissued it. Okay, so let's stop and let's take a look at this. This is going to be a new tornado warning for a small part of Jackson County. And let's look at our dual pane so we can look at the velocity display. And the concern, it's this spot right in through here, which is a little east of Skyline. And this warning will include Stevenson. It does not include Bridgeport. And that's one thing we always try and do, is to tell people who's in and who's out. So again, the Stevenson, you are in the polygon, which is located right here. And again, we've got the possible rotation right here. So the old warning was canceled. A new warning was issued. And again, this will be in effect most likely until 3 a.m. And this does not include any part of DeKalb County. If you're in Fort Payne or any place like that, Henniger, this is all north of you. Valley Head, Mentone, this is north of you. This is for a fairly small part of Jackson County up in the northeastern part of the state. And again, the warning will be in effect until 3:15, and I think it'll be canceled well before that. And again, this is radar indicated. There's no confirmation. We don't see any evidence of lowered CC. Well, in fact, let's just take a look at that right now. And no evidence of any debris being lofted at this point, but this is just a rotation that's indicated on radar that is east of Skyline. And that's moving over toward the US 72 corridor, which is going to be right in through here. And again, this is your rotation right in through here, moving like that, pretty much to the east, maybe a little north of due east. So obviously the concept here is for folks in Stevenson to be in a safe place. This Alabama Highway 117 right here. And again, this will be crossing US 72, maybe a little south of Stevenson here. But again, we want to stress Scottsboro is down here. This does not include Scottsboro. This is the rotation is about 15 miles due north of Scottsboro. And again, Scottsboro is not in the polygon. Again, some of the older legacy warning systems sound county-wide, but we got away from county warnings years and years ago. We're better than that. Tornadoes are, even the big tornadoes are small compared to an entire county. And the whole county doesn't need to, go into your safe place. It's a small area, and we define that with these polygon shapes. So again, we've got potential for what could be a tornado. And again, it's not the best signature on radar we've seen, but again, it's a little tighter than it was. East of Skyline, that will be crossing US 72 near a little south of Stevenson, be crossing Alabama Highway 117. This will be, again, Bridgeport, I want to stress, is not in the polygon here. Bridgeport, not in this polygon. And ultimately, this particular storm is going to be into Georgia. So, new tornado warning. This is for a relatively small part of Jackson County. This is the northeastern corner of Alabama. Technically, until 3:15, I think it will be canceled well before that. And again, I want to stress we have had 0 reports of damage with this from a tornado. This has all been radar indicated. And so far, so good with this. But again, a small tornado could get down at some point with this. And again, the main highway that is involved here is right here. That's US 72. And obviously no travel. If by chance you're having to travel at 2:32 this morning, we don't want anybody on Highway 72 all the way between Hollywood and Bridgeport. Just kind of stop and take a break. So let's quickly look at the big picture. There are many other storms out there, but we're focusing on this because this is the only tornado warning polygon we have in the state. And again, just to get your bearing straight, this is your county line right in through here. This is DeKalb, and this is Jackson County's right up here. And the warning is in effect for Jackson County. And again, you can clearly pick out that spot that's of concern, which is right here. And again, US 72 is right here. So again, let's expand this out quickly and kind of show the big picture, if you will. There are no other tornado warnings in effect in the state at this point, which is a good thing. We've got just some loud, noisy thunderstorms coming through Decatur, Priceville, the heavier rain coming up into Madison, coming right down 565 from Decatur over to Madison, approaching downtown Huntsville. And again, there could be some small hail in through here, but just not seeing any particular reports of damage. It's mostly hail reports we're seeing here. And again, this is clearly producing some hail. In fact, I'll show you a shot of this here in just a second. So again, we've got that storm that is producing some hail over Morgan, Limestone, Madison counties. And the same thing over here. We probably got some pretty big hail. I would say this is the largest hail of all right in through here. That would be in extreme eastern Franklin County. This is near the Franklin-Lawrence County line, right on Highway 24. And again, that's some pretty big hail falling there. This is east of Russellville, between Russellville and Moulton near the county line. So these are all severe thunderstorm warnings that are currently in effect. And let's see here. This is an example of the hail that is falling. This is in Decatur. And the reports indicate lots of hail falling in Decatur. And again, this is a common sight across the northern part of Alabama with these storms this morning. And of course, the lightning show is also tremendous. And it's very loud and very obnoxious. And if you have small children, you know what I mean. I think we've all been there. In fact, let me load some of the lightning video in here from these storms up in through here. And yes, indeed, almost nonstop. There you go. A lot of people are looking out the window and seeing that early this morning across the Tennessee Valley. So again, back to the big picture here. Let me animate this really quickly, and you get an idea of the storm motion. Everything is moving to the northeast. And again, we should point out also that we've got thunderstorms in progress in parts of Fayette, Walker, Winston, Marion. Those are moving up towards Smith Lake and Cullman, but those are not severe. They are not severe. And remember, 1-inch diameter hail or larger, or 58-mile-per-hour winds. And we see no evidence of that in the storms over Winston, Walker, Marion. They're just loud, maybe some small hail. The bigger storms are over the Tennessee Valley. And again, the greatest threat of severe weather this morning is going to be along and north of US 278. US 278 runs from Hamilton to Cullman to Gadsden. And with all these storms, there is one tornado warning. And that is for a small part of Jackson County in the northeastern part of the state. This is the northeastern corner of Alabama. This is well to the north of Scottsboro. We stress Scottsboro is not in the polygon here. In fact, we'll kind of show you that. You can see it moving in. And we'll stop it. We'll take a look at the velocity display. And it's just broad, and the main concern, it's going to be the stronger straight line winds here. Again, you can see there's a 56-mile-per-hour wind at 600 feet off the ground. And like we've talked about, it doesn't take a lot to get that down to the surface. There's a 70-mile-per-hour, 74-mile-per-hour wind up on the Alabama-Tennessee state line northwest of Bridgeport. That's all, it's about hurricane force here. And again, it doesn't take a lot to get that down. That's 800 feet away from the radar site. Getting a good low-level sample because the radar site is that circle you see there at high top. That's the radar we're using here. So very strong straight-line winds are likely in association with these storms. Of course, these are outbound winds coming from the radar approaching U.S. Highway 72. That's our main highway in this polygon right there. And this is the tornado warning polygon itself right there. So again, I just, would just hate to ask people to do it at this hour of the day. But again, if you're in that polygon, what you want to do is respect the polygon and be in that safe place. Small room, lowest floor, near the center, no windows, no mobile homes, no cars. And trust me, I know how inconvenient that is at this hour of the day. But again, it's just a course of least regret. And the spot we're kind of watching is right in here that would represent the rotation that prompted this particular warning. And it's about to cross over Highway 72. And ultimately, it's going to be crossing the river. And then ultimately moving over into Georgia. Watching reports coming in from the Weather Service. I've got our first report of a tree down. This is on County Road 43 near Skyline. And this is coming from Jackson County EMA. So again, we have one report of a tree down, but that's the only damage I've seen so far with this, which is a good thing. Another note, there might be some flooding issues involved here as these storms are training basically along the same line. So again, there could be some scattered flooding issues as well. But as we comb through all of the reports early this morning, just not seeing any other reports of damage, which is a very good thing. But again, I stress a lot of times when it's 2:40 a.m. on a holiday and rain-wrapped storms, you often don't get a lot of quick reports. But I do think a lot of folks are up and awake and paying attention here, which is a good thing. Let's see here. Let's add one more quick video just to show you the type of lightning show that is going on across the Tennessee Valley and parts of North Alabama this morning. Pretty much nonstop. And of course, you know, there is no such thing as heat lightning. Every time you see lightning in Alabama, it is produced by a thunderstorm. In summer, they can be 70,000 feet tall, and you can see lightning from 100 miles away, so far away that you can't hear the thunder. And the older generations have defined it as heat lightning, assuming that lightning comes out of clear air with no storm, but there's always a thunderstorm involved. And again, that's the lightning show that is going on tonight that was taken from Hazel Green up in northern Madison County. And many folks are seeing the exact same thing. Quite the show here. And again, we've had a lot of reports of hail. This is fairly common this morning. This was some hail that was taken near Decatur earlier. But let's go back to the radar. We're live at 2:41. We have a tornado warning in effect for a small part of Jackson County in northeast Alabama. And again, this is for a line segment that is crossing Highway 72. And again, really and truly, we just don't see a tornado signature here. We see a high wind signature. Easily, these winds could be enough to blow down trees and power lines. They could easily exceed 55, 60 miles per hour in spots. And again, that corridor of higher wind is right on US 72 coming through Jackson County. And understand, there's a severe thunderstorm warning for all of Jackson and parts of DeKalb County as well. We're kind of focusing on that smaller tornado warning polygon, but there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for basically all of Jackson and extreme northern DeKalb County, north of Fort Payne, for this line segment here. So again, damaging straight line winds, a distinct possibility right in through here, right along U.S. Highway 72, coming through Stevenson down to Hollywood, and ultimately that'll be moving out of Alabama into Georgia fairly soon. But again, the greater concern here, it's straight line winds. We just don't see a tornado signature here. We don't. And looking to see, I'm watching the Weather Service chat. They might leave this tornado warning up, but again, the main concern here from strong straight line winds. So let's broaden this out and again show the entire northern half of the state. We've got a whole bunch of polygons here. Kind of a messy look, but just try and sort all of this out. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Now, if you're in the shoals, the storms have really weakened a bit there coming in from Tennessee. In fact, let me go over to the Columbus, Mississippi radar, the Columbus Air Force Base radar, and really and truly, those are, you've got thunder and lightning and rain, but those are not really severe at this point. Still, there is a severe thunderstorm warning polygon in effect for Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin counties for that incoming line from Tennessee. That's the main line. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for parts of Lawrence, Morgan, extreme northern Cullman, Madison, Limestone, Jackson, and northern DeKalb counties. All those counties are under severe thunderstorm warnings, and you can see just the big batch coming across the northern part of the state. And as we've discussed many times here this morning, the main concern coming from strong, damaging straight-line winds and hail. The tornado threat certainly exists, and again, if you're just joining us here, there is a tornado watch in effect for the northern third of Alabama this morning. This would include Lamar, Fayette, Walker, Cullman, Blount, Marshall, DeKalb, and counties to the north until 8 o'clock. Probably going to be canceled well before 8 o'clock, but if you're in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden, you're not under a tornado watch, and the chance of severe weather much, much lower for those cities along Interstate 2059 and to the south, if you're in South Alabama. Now, we could see additional storms forming this afternoon, Monday afternoon, and this is the severe weather outlook after 7 o'clock this morning. This is for the afternoon activity, and we have a level 2 out of 5 risk over parts of central and south Alabama. And it's not going to rain everywhere this afternoon, but where the storms do form, they could be strong. We don't expect a tornado problem this afternoon. The issue would be from hail and strong straight line winds. So just be aware of that. The mid to late morning should be quiet with mostly dry conditions. These new storms form during the peak of the daytime heating process. And then after today, after Monday, we see no chance of any severe weather for the rest of the week. In fact, it looks really nice for the rest of the week. We could see some 50s over North Alabama by Thursday and Friday morning, and that'll feel pretty good. But again, let's stay locked in on these current storms. And again, we have a very small part of Jackson County under a tornado warning. Very small part for that line segment coming along US 72. And the main concern, really, it's not from a tornado, it's from strong straight line winds. So let's look at that situation really quickly here. And let's go to the dual pane. And you can see that area of enhanced wind right on US 72. And again, within that, we're seeing some spots of, there's 66, 68 miles per hour, and this is 900 feet away from the radar. And again, we could easily see down trees and power lines because of the straight line winds with this line segment coming through the extreme northeast corner of Alabama. There's really, well, we're starting to see again maybe a spot right in through here, maybe a little north of that polygon, but generally speaking, there's no classic tornado signature here. And kind of watching the storms coming into Huntsville, there is very, very, very broad rotation around Redstone Arsenal, just very broad. There's no tornado here. The main concern for Huntsville at this point would be from hail, strong gusty straight line winds. And again, all these things are just obnoxious. A lot of noisy light, thunder, frequent lightning. It's been quite the light show up there. But again, the good news I can report, we just haven't had a lot of reports of damage. We've had a couple of trees blown down, and that's about it early this morning. And again, the question I constantly am seeing is it safe to go to bed? And I talked about this earlier. If you got a weather radio, you can always go to bed because that weather radio is going to wake you up if there's a warning issued for your county. But the tornado watch remains in effect for the entire northern third of the state until 8 o'clock. We'll let you know when the risk is over from this morning batch of storms. But the watch is still valid pretty much for that entire northern third of the state. Highest wind velocities, we're kind of watching this stuff right up and through here. We got some large hail falling just southwest of Bridgeport, and evidence of broad rotation there. Again, you should still be sheltered if you're in that tornado warning polygon. This particular rotation is kind of a little on the northern edge of the polygon, maybe slightly outside of that. But again, those stronger winds coming into Bridgeport with a chance of some pretty large hail. This could be larger than the size of golf balls. And, of course, with that, we also have the very heavy rain falling. The warning is scheduled to – okay, here's a new tornado warning. They've issued a tornado warning for that area we talked about. So we have a new tornado warning. This is for the extreme northeastern corner of Jackson County. This does include Bridgeport. And the new tornado warning is also in effect until 3:15. So the concern really has shifted in terms of a tornado from that original polygon up into the newer polygon, which is the northern part of Jackson County. This is not even close to Scottsboro. This does not include Stevenson. For Stevenson, the worst of the weather is now east of you. Bridgeport is in this particular tornado warning polygon here. So again, we've got that rotation that is formed a little east of US 72, and that is coming up near Bridgeport here at 250. So if you're in Bridgeport, anywhere near there, you want to be in a safe place. Small room, lowest floor near the center, away from windows. That'll be crossing the river here fairly soon. And again, the rotation is now east of US 72. In this case, understand there are other storms to come, but in terms of the tornado danger, we can pretty much give an all clear from the tornado danger along US 72. It's still pouring rain, and you might have some hail falling, and it's windy, but in terms of the tornado threat, That's a little east of U.S. Highway 72 at this point. And that will be passing near or just south of Bridgeport, crossing the river, and then moving over toward the community of Bryant, and then ultimately moving over into Georgia. Again, there's the new volume scan. The spot we're watching, well, wrong button there, right in through here. In one way or the other, even if there's no tornado, we've got strong straight line winds and also some large hail falling. In fact, the large hail is falling right in here, which is a little south of the community of Bridgeport. So let's expand it out one more time. So the tornado warning's in effect for, this is for Jackson County. And again, it looks like they've kind of expanded the original polygon as well. So the tornado warnings here are very broad, which is a little odd for a tornado warning. Typically, you know a spot and you define that spot, but with just broad rotation in through here. But again, I think the main concern in these areas right up here, it's damaging straight line winds, but there certainly could be an isolated tornado involved. That's the reason for those warnings. Huntsville, it's pouring over the southern half of the city. Along and south of 565 down toward the river. We probably got some hail falling, especially south of I-565 down through here. No evidence of a tornado. There's been some broad rotation. We'll take a look at the dual pane. And again, evidence of strong straight line winds, but no evidence of any tornado. Madison County is under a severe thunderstorm warning at this point. Those storms extend back into Limestone, Morgan, Lawrence counties. Again, we've had many reports of hail and, of course, very frequent lightning pouring down toward Moulton and Lawrence County. Also to the south, we've got thunderstorms in parts of Winston, Cullman County, Walker, down around Smith Lake. But again, there's no evidence of any severe weather in that part of the state. The severe thunderstorm warnings begin in extreme northern Cullman County up into Lawrence, Morgan, Limestone, Madison. The warnings have expired if you're in the shoals. The storms there are, they're producing heavy rain and thunder and lightning. They're just not that bad. So again, if you're in the shoals, you're okay right now. You still got a tornado watch in effect, but again, with the incoming stuff over Mississippi and Tennessee, it just doesn't look that bad at this point. So Florence, you're looking pretty good. The heavier storms are off to the east. And again, you can see the tornado warning polygons covering parts of eastern Jackson County. And again, we stress this is east of US 72 and really east of the Tennessee River. So if you're east of the river in northern Jackson County, you've got these tornado warnings. And again, that segment will be into Georgia very quickly, and the warnings will be canceled for you. Other than that, it's all severe thunderstorm warnings in effect this morning. Just a noisy, loud, obnoxious way to start Memorial Day here as we approach the 3 o'clock hour. And again, I just think with all these storms, the greatest concern is going to be from strong winds and hail. Could there be an isolated tornado? Yes. Checking some of the other reports. From Morgan County EMA, got some reports of trees and power lines down in North Decatur, and that would make sense in that many of these storms you see in Huntsville, Decatur, back toward Moulton, they're producing some strong winds in spots. So again, reports of some trees and lines down in parts of North Decatur. Got a report of small hail along County Road 460 by Mud Creek Barbecue in Jackson County. Small hail, nothing especially large. And again, there's some concern of flooding here in that these storms are kind of like trains going down the track. They're going down the same area, and these are very efficient rain producers. It is a very, you walk outside, it's got that midsummer feel to the air. Dew points are high. Precipitable water values are high. So these are very efficient rain producers early this morning. So let's go back to our storms that have prompted the tornado warning. And again, the concern now, it's east of the Tennessee River, east of U.S. Highway 72. And this is the extreme northeastern corner of Alabama. And again, there's just really not a classic tornado signature here. We just don't see that. We see strong winds, strong straight line winds that could easily top 55, 60 miles an hour, that could easily bring down some trees and power lines. The worst of this is now to the east of Bridgeport in terms of the wind. You've still got pouring rain there and thunder and lightning. But again, that will be crossing over into Georgia here fairly soon, in a matter of minutes. And these warnings will be canceled in that the storms are moving out of the tornado warning polygons. So I think we've gotten through this with no major damage through, and again, the tornado warning. The first tornado warning this morning was issued for a small part of Madison County, northeast of Huntsville and Jackson. The thunderstorm complex has been rolling through Jackson County with occasional decent couplets on there. But again, a lot of time the rotation has been broad. There's been some reports of trees down. But again, I think we'll be able to get through this fairly unscathed. Let's go back over to the storm at Huntsville. And again, we're kind of watching this right in through here. This is some broad rotation between Redstone Arsenal and Triana. This is down south of Huntsville. And again, we've seen these things pop up from time to time, but the good thing is that they've not been consistent. They just don't stay there. They come and they go. And if we do have any tornadoes this morning, most likely they're going to be very brief. And I say this a lot. It's like whack-a-mole. You get they're down for a minute or two and they just go away. And we're just not good enough in the weather enterprise to warn for a tornado that's down for 30 seconds or 2 minutes. By the time the warning goes out, they're gone. And that's the problem. Middle of the night, squall line tornadoes like this. This is nothing new. We've had these for a long time, and they're still very challenging to deal with. On the big red letter days, when the tornadoes are down, they stay down for 20, 30 minutes. Those are easy to warn for. I say this all the time. A third grader could warn for those. This is the hard part right here. So again, there's broad rotation in that thunderstorm that's just south of Redstone Arsenal in Madison County, north of the river, north of the Tennessee River. And the Weather Service is watching this, but again, based on the history of what's happened so far with these things tonight, they just don't, the couplets have not lasted for a long time. But again, let's keep working our way on down. You see Lawrence County. Pretty strong winds down through here. Let's see, we're looking at velocities of about 55, 60 miles per hour. Now, the beam is 6,700 feet off the ground down here. It's farther away from the radar site, but again, some of that could mix down to the surface. That might knock down some trees and power lines. And again, we'll keep going to the south. We've got the storms around Smith Lake. Probably some hail is falling right here in the southwestern part of Cullman County, down toward Brushy Pond, places like that. This is the southern part of Smith Lake, and that'll be coming out toward Good Hope and Huntsville and Cullman. No evidence of any tornado there. This is just some hail that would be falling. And again, if you're in the Shoals, you're looking pretty good. So far, Florence, Sheffield, Tuscumbia, Muscle Shoals, they fared pretty well with this. And yeah, you've had heavy storms for sure, but we just have not seen some of the problems we have seen off to the east. So let's go back to the big picture, if you will. And you can see just a messy, massive convection. And it's 3 a.m., 3 o'clock, Memorial Day, 2024. We're all up watching storms. Question is, can you go to bed? Yeah, if you got a weather radio, go to bed. If you don't have an active warning, if you're not in a tornado warning polygon. Now listen, if you're in Jackson County in those tornado warning polygons, hang in there. We're going to give you an all clear in a couple of minutes. The segment prompting those warnings, that segment's moving rapidly into Georgia as we speak, which means that the Weather Service should be able to drop those We have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for most of Morgan, parts of Madison, Limestone, Lawrence counties, a little part of Franklin County. And again, the other concern, it's for flooding. With these storms kind of coming across the same areas there, we could have some flooding problems up in the Tennessee Valley. In fact, a flash flood warning is about to be issued here for parts of Limestone, Madison, and Jackson counties. So again, the Weather Service in Huntsville in the process of drawing up a flash flood warning for Limestone, Madison, and Jackson counties. But many, many, many of you are seeing this out your window this morning. This was taken up at Hazel Green, northern Madison County a little earlier. Non-stop. All right, there's our flash flood warning. Again, this is going to be for parts of Limestone, Madison, and Jackson counties up in the Tennessee Valley. Of course, a lot of this was hail earlier in Decatur. It was falling there. Well, let's quickly go back up to Jackson here. I think we can, we're on the verge of giving an all clear here, but not quite. Let's take a look at the velocity data. And again, you can see just the stronger winds are now into the northwestern corner of Georgia. And in here, that's just a lot of rain and gusty winds and lightning, but the truth is there's just no evidence of any tornado at this point in Jackson. Until they clear these polygons, I'm not going to give you an all clear, but I will tell you the news is good, and that we see really no evidence on radar at this moment of a tornado in Jackson County. The stronger wind velocities have shifted over into northwestern Georgia. Still, yes, it's very gusty, pouring rain, thunder, lightning, everything here, but there's just no strong evidence of a tornado in through here, which is a good thing. And hopefully we'll get all these polygons cleared off the board here in a couple of minutes. And the minute we do that, we'll let you know, because a lot of people are sheltered. And it's not a very pleasant thing to shelter at 3:03 on a Monday morning. And so again, back to the big picture. Just a lot of rain and thunder and lightning, and again, just a messy morning. So real quick, wanted to kind of go through what might happen later in the day. So again, we have the tornado watch this morning for the northern third of the state. And again, we stress this watch does not include Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Anniston, Gadsden. This is for areas to the north, the Tennessee Valley. The southernmost counties in this watch are Lamar, Fayette, Walker, Cullman, Blount, Marshall, DeKalb, and counties to the north until 8 o'clock, and I think the watch will be canceled before 8 o'clock. If you're in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden, the chance of severe weather fairly low. These storms should weaken a lot as they get down toward Interstate 5920 later this morning. And later in the day, additional storms will likely form this afternoon. It's not going to rain everywhere, but where the storms do form this afternoon, they could be strong to severe. We don't expect a tornado threat later today. The main concern, hail and strong straight-line winds, especially for the southern two-thirds of the state, I-20 and points south, especially in the yellow on that map. That's a level 2 out of 5 risk. All right, we got a new tornado warning, so let's see what they're doing here. This is going to be for the storm that is coming through the southern part of Huntsville. So this is a new tornado warning that is in effect for the southern part of Madison County over into parts of Jackson County until 3:30. And again, this is a radar-indicated tornado. This is not confirmed. And again, the tornado, the couplet is not especially that well-defined here, but again, the Weather Service in Huntsville, they believe that in this area right here, there could be a small, brief tornado that's moving like that. So, of course, you've got Huntsville, which is right here. Now, this does not include Madison. Madison's over here. Madison's not involved in this. If you're to the north of Huntsville, Hazel Green, you're not in it. New Market, nope. Harvest, nope. This is for the southern part of the Huntsville metro down to the river. And again, this moves over into parts of Jackson County. So again, we have a new tornado warning polygon. This is in effect until 3:30 this morning for the next 25 minutes for the potential of a brief tornado in the storm complex that is coming through the southern part of Huntsville. Now, understand, when you look at this tornado warning polygon, this is just for the potential of a tornado. I know it's raining in a lot of places, and it's thunder, lightning, the whole thing. But you can see the spot of concern right down and through here. And if we get a tornado down, these are going to be pretty brief this morning. They could be down for 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe 10, and then they go right back up. That's the way they've been going this morning. But still, even those tornadoes are dangerous. They're not like the ones that moved through Texas and Oklahoma Saturday night, or even the ones in Missouri and Kentucky yesterday, Sunday. These are going to be brief. But again, the velocities are coming up, and it looks a lot better on this volume scan. So again, we got a potential for a tornado now that's about 5 miles south of downtown Huntsville. And again, you've got the Parkway right here. And again, this is your potential velocity couplet right here. And so again, everybody in that particular polygon, you need to be sheltered. Small room, lowest floor, near the center, no windows. And again, you can see some of the communities over here involved in that polygon. Paint Rock, Woodville, that's in Jackson County, Gurley, Maysville. So again, this is for a velocity couplet that is about 5 miles south-southeast of downtown Huntsville, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. And let's check the correlation coefficient. I don't expect we'll see anything here, and we don't. There's no debris being lofted, so this is we've not had a confirmed tornado throughout the morning. These have all been radar indicated, and again, it's not the most classic tornado signature you'll see. Actually, a couple of areas of kind of broad rotation here and down and through here, but as a course of least regret, the encouragement here, it's to just be sheltered until this thing passes. And again, we'll give an all clear as we go through this. Once the storms move east of you. But again, this is for southern Madison County. And again, just to kind of get your bearings straight, this is 231 here. This is 431 right here. And obviously, we encourage no travel on either 231 or 431. Most likely, the rotations are they're kind of between the two highways, between 231 and 431. But between Owens Crossroads and Huntsville, we encourage no travel. And then next, this is US 72 right here. So our main highways are 231, 431, US 72. But again, Ryland, Brownsboro, Gurley, Big Cove, all these places, you're in the polygon. I'd say for downtown Huntsville and points north and west, you're good from this. This is for areas south and east of downtown Huntsville. And again, the rotation is relatively broad here. But again, if you're just joining us here, we've got potential for what could be a little spin-up tornado in here southeast of Huntsville. In terms of the main highways we're concerned about, that's 431, US 431 here, US 72 right here, circulation in through here, moving about like that, moving northeast. And again, that will be crossing over out of Madison County into Jackson County. The warning is in effect until 3:30 this morning. So again, this is for southern Madison and parts of Jackson counties. So again, the sheltering concept here, you want to be in a small room, lowest floor, near the center, no windows. So let's quickly look over here into Jackson County. And again, I just don't see a tornado signature here. I know that technically we've still got a couple of polygons up, but again, the higher wind fields have moved really into Georgia, northwestern Georgia, and there's just no evidence of a tornado here at this point. Still, again, like I say, as long as that polygon is up, I would still stay sheltered. I wish I could give you an all clear. I mean, the radar looks pretty good, but The polygons are still there. So and here's our flash flood warning that's just been issued. That'll pop up here in just a second. This is for parts of Jackson, Lawrence, Limestone, Madison, and Morgan counties. It's going to be a fairly large flash flood warning polygon. You'll see that pop up on the screen here in just a second. Let's look at a big picture real quick. I understand there's other storms in progress. Boy, here's an interesting polygon. Boy, these are... So this is a... So now we have a tornado warning polygon. This is for parts of Madison, Jackson, and this kind of clips Marshall County. So let's kind of investigate this and look at the big picture here. Let me animate this. So here's, again, this is pretty complex. So apparently in through here, there's evidence of rotation moving southeast. We have the circulation that's down here below Huntsville moving northeast. And again, over here, this stuff is basically over into Georgia. So again, we've got multiple tornado warning polygons up here in northeast Alabama. And again, it's a very messy, convective look here. We don't have your classic tornado signatures in here like we do for some of the big, long-lasting tornadoes, but the Weather Service in Huntsville believes that within this line segment there could be some broad rotation. And again, there's evidence of some broad rotation here. So the rotation that is south of Huntsville is moving northeast, and these are moving southeast. And that's the reason for these crisscross polygons up and through here. But goodness, that's a kind of a complex look. But again, listen, despite the complexity of this, we've got parts of Madison, Jackson, and a small part of Marshall now in tornado warning polygons early this morning. And in Marshall County, you can see that this does not include the city of Guntersville, but it does include part of the lake here. In areas northeast of the city of Guntersville. And again, you can see the edge of the polygon. Again, the polygons are defined here. You know what? I've not had the radar up. I'm so sorry, guys. So now, again, you can see the edge of the polygon that's down into Marshall County. So let me go back since I had the wrong graphic up. I'm so sorry. It's 313. So again, we've got these multiple tornado warning polygons in effect up here for northeast Alabama, for parts of Madison, Jackson, a small part of Marshall counties, and there are four separate polygons in effect here. So again, now that you can see the radar, we've got potential for some broad rotation down here south of Huntsville that's moving northeast. That's the polygon in effect for southern Madison and for parts of Jackson counties. Evidence there could be some broad rotation in this line that's moving southeast, and that's the reason for that configuration in this polygon. And then we've got these Jackson County polygons, and those have really, the heavier winds have moved over into Georgia. But again, so that's the situation. And also we should mention that there's a large flash flood warning in effect now for parts of Jackson, Lawrence, Limestone, Madison, and Morgan counties. And again, the Weather Service in Huntsville is kind of trying to explain the messy polygons up in here. That it says their current tornado warnings are pointing in different directions since the storms prompting them are moving in different directions. We have several areas of rotation along the line and again, so you can see, again, right in through here, they're concerned about that. And that line segment is moving to the southeast. And that's the reason for this polygon right here. And over in southern Madison, we have this area of rotation moving northeast, and that's the reason for that orientation. And the warnings for Jackson County, those have been taken out. So again, if you're in Jackson County, the eastern part of Jackson County, the original polygons, those have been taken out, but we still have parts of the county under a tornado warning. And the newer warning does include Scottsboro, which is right here. That's the largest city in Jackson County. So now we have a little clear definition here. We have two polygons, one for southern Madison and eastern Jackson, and then a larger polygon for much of Jackson and extreme northern Marshall counties. And again, the only part of Marshall County involved is the area northeast of Guntersville. Guntersville is not in this polygon. All right, so Guntersville is down here. You're not in the polygon. The polygon is right there. And, of course, the river is right here. That's Lake Guntersville. So let me expand this back out. So we have basically two polygons we're working with in terms of tornadoes. And I know we have other storms out there. But again, let's take a little closer look. Well, let's start with the Madison County rotation. And it's pretty broad. I will tell you what prompted the original Madison County warning is down and through here. Again, 431 is right here. It's kind of along Highway 431, very broad. And that broad rotation is moving northeast. So that's what prompted this warning right here. This is the original tornado warning for southern Madison and Jackson. And then the Weather Service issued this tornado warning, kind of going in the other direction, for this line of storms here moving southeast. And so, and we should mention there is a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of Jackson County. This is for the northeastern corner of Jackson County. This would include Stevenson and Bridgeport, and also for northern DeKalb County. That would include Ider and areas north of Valley Head, north of Mentone. That's the extreme northern part of DeKalb County. That's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. So I hope all this makes a lot of sense. The polygons are pretty confusing, but again, it is what it is. So again, we have one tornado warning polygon for areas southeast of Huntsville, this one right here in extreme eastern Jackson counties. And then we have this polygon for a line segment dropping to the south and east. So let's expand it out really quickly. I know a lot of people in other parts of the state are watching this, and again, you can see we've got thunderstorms across the northern third of Alabama early this morning. And the storms extend down into Cullman and Walker and Winston counties around Smith Lake. But again, they're not severe there. Remember, to be severe, you've got to have 58-mile-per-hour winds or greater, or 1-inch diameter hail or larger. So the storms in Cullman County, Winston County, Walker County, not severe. They're loud, yes. A lot of lightning and thunder. But the main concern, really, it's near and along and north of the Tennessee River in terms of severe storms. We got heavy rain falling in parts of Morgan, Limestone, eastern Lawrence, much of Madison, Jackson counties. And again, there's a fairly large flash flood warning polygon. And the flash flood warning polygon includes parts of Limestone, Lawrence, Morgan, Madison, Jackson counties up into southern Tennessee, where the rain amounts are tremendous. And within all of this mess, we have a couple of tornado warnings in effect. We have one for southern Madison and eastern Jackson, and then one for parts of Madison, Jackson, and a small part of Marshall County. And again, it's a little confusing in that they're pointing in different directions. And the other problem here, all of these rotations are pretty broad. They tighten up briefly and then they broaden back out. If we have any tornadoes this morning, they're going to be brief, short-lived. But even those are dangerous. And, you know, the question we have to answer in the Weather Enterprise, are we even good enough to try to do this? Or do you just use severe thunderstorm warnings and say a brief tornado is possible? That's a question for social scientists, I guess. But it looks like the Weather Service in Huntsville is going to try and catch them this morning. So again, here's the current situation. And really and truly, that original circulation that was south of Huntsville, That's very ill-defined. And I think the main concern, it's the stronger winds in this line segment here, damaging straight line winds. And listen, here's the other question. If a tree's going to come down on top of your house, does it really matter if it's a tornado or a small tornado or damaging straight line winds? One way or the other, you want to be in a safe place. So if you're in either one of these two polygons, you still want to be sheltered. Small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. No mobile homes, no cars. And again, I know it's not the most convenient thing to do at 3:21 a.m. on Memorial Day, but it is what it is. And again, as I say often, it's a course of least regret. It's just to be in a safe place. But this line is kind of moving to the southeast down through here. And that's the reason for that polygon. And now we have another tornado warning polygon being issued. And this is in effect for parts of Marshall and DeKalb counties and a very small part of Madison County. And again, they're looking at a couple of spots in through here moving like this. So this will include the city of Guntersville. This will include areas down toward Geraldine and DeKalb County. So again, we've got now 3 different tornado warning polygons in effect for the Tennessee Valley. And it looks like what the Weather Service in Huntsville is basically doing now, they're going to blanket tornado warnings for this line segment. They're going to try and catch some rotations within here that are moving to the southeast. And again, it's a pretty messy look with this, but it is what it is. So again, the new tornado warning is in effect for parts of Marshall, a small part of Madison, and a small part of DeKalb County. This is down to Geraldine, down to Albertville. So this new tornado warning polygon includes Albertville and Geraldine, Lakeview, and points north and west. Back up toward the Tennessee River, Lake Guntersville. So, and again, again, like I've talked about, these, if we get a tornado down in here, and we could very well have one, they're going to be brief and they're going to be short-lived. And again, obviously, in addition to the chance of a spin-up tornado, we've got very heavy rain, a flash flood warning in effect for some of the areas here, and also the chance of damaging straight-line winds, which might be the greater concern. We're seeing evidence of some really strong winds coming down out of the high-top radar site down towards Skyline in Jackson County. So again, just a very messy convective pattern this morning. If you've watched us on the classic spring tornado events, the late fall tornado events, you get the hook and you get the correlation coefficient lowering, the debris on radar. Those are easy. This stuff ain't easy. It's a challenge. And again, so just we got a lot of people in a tornado warning polygon this morning. And if you're in a polygon, the advice is to respect the polygon, even though we don't have the classic signatures this morning. Just if you're in it, just please respect it. And of course, the other thing that I like to talk about is having a helmet. Most people that are injured in tornado warning polygons, it is blunt force trauma above the shoulder. And by putting on a cheap bicycle helmet, a batting helmet, a football helmet, a motorcycle helmet, that really, really reduces your chance of being seriously injured during a tornado. And that's for everybody. It's not just for kids. It's for adults, for every human being. Head protection. That's kind of a big deal. And I'm afraid that we don't stress that enough. So if you're in your safe place in your home, and that would be an interior closet, hallway, bathroom, something small, on the lowest floor, having a helmet for everybody in there, that's kind of a big deal. The other thing we like for people to have, it's hard-soled shoes in case you have to walk over a tornado debris field, and a small portable air horn. Those things are cheap. And if you are injured, and you might not be able to vocalize your need for help, and often you cannot force air through a whistle, you can squeeze that little air horn, and first responders can hear that. and that can make a big difference. So the three things we stress in a safe place: helmets for everybody, a little portable air horn for everybody, and hard-soled shoes. And those portable air horns are great fun at work. You come up behind a coworker, you can make them go through the ceiling tiles. So if you're just joining us here, it's 326. We have a very messy tornado warning polygon situation up here for a line segment that's coming through the Tennessee Valley. And you can see that dropping to the southeast in the animation here. And again, normally I can just pinpoint a spot and talk about the tornado near Joe's Barn and Pat's Barbecue or whatever, but in this situation, that's almost impossible to do. The Weather Service in Huntsville just believing their best thing to do is to issue broad tornado warnings this morning for what could be a brief tornado. I think the main concern here is damaging straight line wind, and no doubt these winds could be enough to knock down some trees and power lines. But these tornado warning polygons include parts of southern Madison, parts of Jackson, mainly southern Jackson, south of Skyline, parts of Marshall. This is eastern Marshall, basically from 431 east, and a very small part of DeKalb County, down toward Geraldine. We have no tornado warnings in effect for Fort Payne. And if you're in the city of Huntsville, there's no tornado danger at this point. So again, if you're in the city of Huntsville, I can give you an all clear. The concern, it's south and east of Huntsville with that line segment. And again, this is extreme southeastern Madison, the southern half of Jackson, the eastern half of Marshall, and a small part of DeKalb counties. And again, it's just a convective mess here this morning. And for those that are just joining us, we have a tornado watch in effect for about the northern third of the state. Real quickly, I'll show you that. This is the southernmost counties are Lamar, Fayette, Walker, Cullman, Blount, Marshall, DeKalb, and really south of that, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden. You're not in this watch. I don't think you'll be in a watch. The storm should weaken as they drift down toward Interstate 20 later this morning. The main concern areas north of Interstate 59, and especially north of US 278. That's north of a line from Hamilton to Cullman to Gadsden, that to the north of there. That's the primary concern. And also, in addition to the chance of damaging wind, hail, a few spin-up tornadoes, there's some flooding issues. We have a flash flood warning in effect for many counties in North Alabama where the rain has been tremendous early this morning. And again, watching some of the reports coming in, getting reports of trees and lines down over Steam Plant Road in Stevenson up in northeast Alabama. That's in Jackson County. And again, these straight line winds can easily knock down trees and power lines. Understand that most of the damage we're going to see is because of straight line winds. Having said that, there could be an isolated, brief tornado in spots, and that's the reason for these tornado warning polygons early this morning. And of course, flooding is also another concern that we have. And let's see here. We'll take a look at some of the damage video we have. And again, this is going to be from Jackson County. And again, this is in Stevenson. And that's an example of what these storms are doing this morning. Again, that's some of the trees down. This is on Steam Plant Road in Stevenson up in Jackson County. Of course, everybody's dealing with this. Quite the light show in the sky this evening. Very vivid lightning display for everybody. And a lot of hail as well. These storms are very effective rain producers, and in some cases producing some pretty impressive hailstones. In fact, this is a look at some of the hail that is fallen in Trinity early this morning. This was at about 2:10, about an hour ago. You can see that it accumulated to a depth of almost 2 inches, mostly small hail, but a whole lot. So back to the radar. We are live here at 3:30 Memorial Day. We have tornado warning polygons in effect for multiple counties in northeast Alabama. Tornado warnings, and let me just say, for most of Madison County, you've been taken out of this, in that the line segment is moving out of Madison County that could produce a spin-up tornado. So again, Huntsville, all clear. Madison County, for the most part, you're all clear. The concern for a possible spin-up tornado, it's over Jackson, parts of Marshall. And now we have it looks like the Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for a small part of Cullman County. And this includes Baileyton, Holly Pond. This does not include the city of Cullman. This is a small part of northeastern Cullman County. And again, this is for parts of Morgan County around Eva. And again, you can see that segment coming down. And again, the greatest concern, it's from damaging straight line winds within the line segment here that could easily knock down trees and power lines. But basically now all of Marshall County, this includes Arab, Douglas, Albertville, Guntersville, Sand Mountain, Lake Guntersville, you're under a tornado warning. And understand, this is not the kind of situation where I can just come in here and pinpoint a spot and tell you this is where it is. That's very hard to do, and that these are going to be small, brief, spin-up tornadoes. But the higher wind velocities are coming down here through Eva in Morgan County. And again, that'll be clipping this northeastern part of Cullman County. So again, tornado warning in effect. This would include Baileyton, up Highway 69, Holly Pond along US 278, and then over into Marshall County. And multiple tornado warning polygons cover Marshall County, pretty much the whole county. A small part of DeKalb County is in a tornado warning, parts of Jackson County. And you can see this line segment here pushing to the south and east, and that's what's prompting all of this. We are watching for damage reports, and thankfully, basically the reports we've had, it's down trees, and I've not seen any structural damage, heard of no injuries this morning, despite all these warnings. But still, if you're in any of these polygons, the advice is to stay sheltered. And I'm so sorry it's 3:33 on a Memorial Day Monday morning, but it is what it is. And we always say tornado season in Alabama is November through May. We're still in May. In fact, on this date in 1973, had a horrible, horrible F4 tornado that tore through Greensboro and Brent, May 27, 1973. So this date has had many severe weather events over the years. And this is nothing like an EF4 tornado here. I stress that. Again, the warnings are for the possibility of brief, isolated, spin-up tornadoes and damaging straight-line winds. And every Weather Service office has a different philosophy, and Huntsville has decided to blanket the whole area with these tornado warnings this morning. And again, the warnings include the southeastern part of Morgan County. And again, this does not include Decatur. This is for Eva, that southeastern corner of Morgan County, and the northeastern corner of Cullman County. This does not include the city of Cullman. So this would include Eva, Baileyton, Holly Pond. Basically, all of Marshall County is under some type of polygon here. This would include Arab, Guntersville, Albertville, Lake Guntersville, Langston, pretty much the whole county, and then over into Jackson County. And this does include Scottsboro, those heavier winds coming through Scottsboro right now. And again, let's stop the animation. Let's check some of the wind velocities. And again, you can see a lot of wind speeds within the radar beam in the 50s, coming right through Scottsboro, Hollywood, US Highway 72. And we're only about 900 feet up in terms of the beam height, 900 feet off the ground. So these winds could easily mix down to the surface. So we could easily see enough wind to blow down trees and power lines in any of these places where these polygon warnings are in effect early this morning. And again, this is the northeastern part of Alabama. For those that are watching, if you're in the western side of the state, we've got some storms that we're watching there, but the tornado potential, it's here for now. But let's quickly show a big picture in that we've got. Let's go back over to the Columbus Air Force Base radar. And you can see other storms are in northeastern Mississippi, and those will be pushing into the northwest corner of Alabama. And again, if you're in Florence, you've fared pretty well with this. You've had no major problems. We've got thunderstorms in progress in Franklin, Colbert counties, and those are not severe. And there's a large flash flood warning in effect all the way from Moulton into southern Tennessee. This includes parts of Lawrence, Limestone, Morgan, Madison, and Jackson counties. That is a flash flood warning because of the excessive rains we've had this morning. And again, you can see those tornado warning polygons in effect. Those are the red ones. All of Marshall County, parts of Jackson, and a small part of southeastern Morgan and northeastern Cullman. And again, it's a case where we're in the middle of the night. We can't show you a lot of video. I know that I say this a lot. People would rather see actual tornado pictures, and we just can't do that. If there is a tornado, it's rain-wrapped, and it's very brief. But a lot of trees have been blown down this morning. In fact, we're seeing more reports of that. And most of the tree damage I've seen, it's going to be because of straight-line winds. So let's throw a couple of images on here coming in from, I think these are from Jackson County. So again, this is some tree damage at Bryant up on Sand Mountain in northeast Alabama, and we could easily see more images like this once the sun comes up. Again, this is also from Bryant in northeast Alabama. So again, reports of a lot of trees down. Of course, we have a lot of hail that has been falling tonight in the heavier storms. All of these images coming from northeast Alabama. And of course, the lightning show has been pretty much nonstop. This is more tree damage, by the way. So at 3:38, let's go back to the radar. And again, you can see just a large mass of rain and storms moving across the northern third of the state early this morning. And we'll take a look at those multiple polygons, and you can see them covering much of Jackson, basically all of Marshall, extreme southeastern Morgan, extreme northeastern Cullman. Madison County, you're taken out of all of this. Madison County, risk of severe storms from this round is over. In fact, from this whole event pretty much is over for you. But let's go to the split screen, and again, let's go back to the high top radar. And again, clearly the main signatures here, it's damaging straight line wind. Having said that, within that line segment pushing down through Jackson, Marshall counties, there could be a brief isolated tornado in through here. Got a report of a power outage in Scottsboro near Ridgedale Road, report of a tree down in Bryant. And again, you saw the images we showed earlier. But really and truly, we haven't had that much damage reported this morning, which is a good thing. But of course, a lot of times in a case like this, we don't know the actual damage until we get the first light of day coming up in a couple of hours here. So potential for damaging straight line winds this morning across the northeastern counties of the state. Within all of that, there could be a brief isolated tornado. And again, it's a situation where we just can't stop and show you specific tornado locations. In fact, I would suggest looking at the radar, we don't have one at the moment. Damaging winds, yes. Tornado, don't think so. But in the case of an isolated tornado, the Weather Service in Huntsville posting those warnings, tornado warnings for much of Jackson, all of Marshall, And again, a small part of southeastern Morgan and extreme northeastern Cullman counties early this morning. So we'll stop and do kind of a tour here. First off, Jackson County. And again, looking at the velocities, you can see the wind velocities are in the 40s and 50s in through here. Scottsboro, right up Highway 72 towards Stevenson. And the beam height is about 900 feet. And again, some of that could easily mix down to the surface. So again, if you're in Jackson County, heavy rain, winds possibly in excess of 50, 55 miles an hour. So let's keep working our way down to the south. We'll take a look at Marshall County. And again, we've got velocities in the 30s and 20s in through here, a little higher once you get over toward Arab in the 30s and 40s. Beam height 3,300 feet. Let's keep going down to the south and east. Again, looking into Cullman County around Baileyton, Holly Pond. Again, the winds are in the 40s and mostly in the 40s. Back into southeastern Morgan, the winds have decreased except for the far, far southeastern corner of Morgan County, the southeastern tip. We're seeing some 50-mile-per-hour winds in there. But again, for Eva, much of Morgan County, the worst of the weather is passed south of you now in terms of wind and tornado potential. And again, we've still got that polygon for the extreme northeastern corner of Cullman County, Joppa, Arab, Baileyton, down to Holly Pond on US 278. And I stress, this does not include the city of Cullman. Remember, many of the older legacy systems will sound county-wide. And if you're hearing something going off in Cullman, you are not in any tornado warning polygon here. Got a power outage in High Top, coming from the Jackson County EMA. So let's expand the view. And again, the Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning for parts of DeKalb, Madison, and Marshall counties. And again, I would say the concern here now is right in through here. That's the one spot we can identify as potentially showing a tornado. This is along U.S. Highway 231 north of Arab, approaching Union Grove. So again, that segment right there is probably the best signature we've seen during this event. So again, we have the possibility of a tornado on US 231 just north of Arab. And again, this is in Marshall County in northeast Alabama. You can see the inflow notch on the reflectivity, the couplet, and the velocity. This is the best signature that we've seen in the past 15 to 30 minutes. And again, that's moving to the east-southeast in the general direction of Union Grove. So just be aware of that. And of course, if that stays in place, that will be coming out toward Alabama Highway 79, US 431, and Gunnersville. On that volume scan, not quite as impressive. And that's the thing. You might have a tornado that shows up in one volume scan, and then the next minute it's gone. That's how quickly these things can come and go in a situation like this. So again, that's your bigger picture. And we've got tornado warning polygons in effect this morning for a very small part of Morgan, and really and truly for Morgan County, the danger of a tornado is past. I'll give an all clear to that southeastern part of Morgan County. We got a tornado warning for the extreme northeast part of Cullman County, a pretty good chunk of Marshall County. And again, we've got maybe the best potential for a tornadic circulation a little north of Arab, up 231. That'll be kind of riding right down Highway 69 back over toward the Lake Gunnersville. And all of the other tornado warning polygons have been taken off the board, which makes it so much easier now. All the other counties are in a severe thunderstorm warning. So Jackson County, no tornado warning. You've got a severe thunderstorm warning. DeKalb County, Fort Payne, you do not have a tornado warning. You've got a severe thunderstorm warning. And understand, listen, guys, a tree's going to come down. Again, I said this before, but does it matter if it's a straight line wind or a tornado? So severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for Jackson and DeKalb counties in northeast Alabama. We've got one tornado warning polygon, and it's this one. You're looking at it right here, and that's for that circulation that is near Union Grove, a little northeast of Arab. And that's about to cross Alabama Highway 69. It's moving to the southeast. And again, it's going to be pretty close to Guntersville. So if you're in Guntersville, Albertville, I would stay sheltered anywhere on Sand Mountain, as we have a possible tornadic circulation moving southeast now. Again, this is the best signature we've seen here in a while. It's been very messy for the past 30 minutes, really the past 2 hours. But just be aware that there is potential now for a tornado that is coming. It's going to soon cross Highway 69, then kind of coming in toward the lake and the city of Guntersville. And that's the most impressive. Still not really a classic tornado signature here. And the good news, I will tell you that we have had no other reports of any tornado structural damage. We had a lot of trees down this morning. Many trees have come down, a lot of hail, but I've not seen any structural damage. We've heard of no injuries. And if we have any tornadoes going on here, they're going to be the short-lived, brief variety. And those are very, very, very tricky to deal with. So again, let's go in a little closer. And we're watching this spot right in through here. And again, it's very broad right now, very broad near Union Grove. This is Alabama Highway 69 right here. Guntersville is right here. This is 431 coming out of Guntersville. 79 goes here. This is 431 going up toward Huntsville. And again, this thing is moving to the southeast. So again, for our friends in Guntersville, the advice is to stay sheltered. It's a very broad circulation at this point, not a classic tornado signature here, but again, damaging straight line winds are fairly likely with this. Could be enough to knock down trees and power lines. And this is kind of a part of a line segment. In fact, this whole line in through here could easily produce strong, damaging straight line winds. All the way from near Arab, just north of the lake and the river, up toward Scottsboro, Pisgah, Eider. I'll be coming up on the mountain around Section. And then all of this is dropping to the southeast like that. And again, the concern is strong straight line winds. And for that reason, that's the reason we have all of DeKalb County under a severe thunderstorm warning this morning. This would include the Interstate 59 corridor, Collinsville, Fort Payne, Mentone, Valley Head. Also includes Henniger, Sylvania, Rainsville, Fife, Crossville. All these communities in DeKalb County, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning for the potential for damaging straight line winds. And again, the only tornado warning on the board, it's this one. And this is for, and again, for Morgan County, I'll give you an all clear. And really and truly, the greatest danger is a little east of Cullman County. Technically, the northeast corner of Cullman County is in this warning. But we're watching now this area that's kind of back down toward Arab, where there could be a brief tornado here. And, of course, within this line, we've got potential for straight line winds, and that's about to come right down here into Guntersville. So it's not been a fun morning. For those just joining us, it's 3:49. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. This is James Spann. We're working a middle-of-the-night Memorial Day morning severe weather episode for the Tennessee Valley of North Alabama. And if you're in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Anniston, Gadsden, all of this is north of you. And these storms should weaken tremendously as they drop southward toward those cities early this morning. The odds of severe weather, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Anniston, Gadsden, relatively low. Not zero, but pretty low. The main concern, it's up here in the Tennessee Valley. And again, let me expand this out a little bit here and kind of show the big picture, if you will. So we've got the heavier storms east of I-65, north of Interstate 59, northeast Alabama. We've got new storms that'll be approaching Franklin County in northeast Alabama. We're kind of watching those. No evidence of any tornado problems there, thank goodness. And again, even in northeast Alabama, we've had these multiple tornado warnings this morning. It just seems like much of the damage has been caused by straight line winds early this morning and not necessarily from tornadoes. But there could be some tornado damage once we get the first light of day and we take a look at everything this morning. And the good news, the tornado watch is going to be canceled here very quickly for some counties in northwest Alabama and the counties in Tennessee. Those are going to be taken out, and we'll let you know which counties are out here in a few minutes. The concern now is really and truly east of I-65 and north of Interstate 59. And again, so the tornado watch has now been canceled for Colbert, Franklin, Lauderdale, Lawrence, and Limestone. So again, if you're in any one of those counties, you can go to bed. See ya. The tornado watch canceled for Colbert, Franklin, Lauderdale, Lawrence, and Limestone. And also the counties in Tennessee, you're cleared from the watch. Flash flood warning, we should mention, for parts of Lawrence, Limestone, Morgan, Madison, and Jackson. It's kind of hard to see with so much going on there. There's a green polygon. That's a big flash flood warning. And again, the main focus, it's right in through here for this tornado warning that's in effect. And this is for parts of Marshall and a very small part of Cullman County. And again, this stuff... it's going to change from volume scan to volume scan. If you're looking for one spot to identify that might have the better chance of an isolated tornado, it could be here and around through here. But again, it's really more of a straight line wind signature here, this whole thing. So just be aware that this line segment could easily produce strong, potentially damaging straight line winds, all the way from Arab up to Ider and DeKalb County. And winds in that zone are pretty steep. We'll take a look at some of the velocity numbers. And again, we're mostly seeing 40 to 50 mile per hour winds in through here on the velocities. A few spots getting close to 50. And some of that could mix down to the surface. So again, possibly enough wind in here to cause some tree and power line damage in the line segment coming through northeast Alabama. Just not seeing a classic tornado signature at this point. But having said that, we've still got that warning. And again, for Morgan County, I'll give you an all clear. If you're in Eva, that southeastern corner of Morgan, technically northeastern Cullman, you're still in the polygon. The greatest risk of any brief tornado is going to be a little north and east of you, from Arab north and east. And again, that polygon extends down toward... right down 431, Guntersville, Albertville, Boaz, Douglas, all those counties in southern Marshall County, those communities in southern Marshall County involved in the tornado warning. Got a report of a power outage on County Road 107 in Skyline. But the good news, we've got a lot of folks are up with us on the social platforms, the Twitter and the Facebag and everything, and I'm just not seeing any big reports other than some downed trees here. Got a report of a tree down in Stevenson on County Road 630. Power lines came down with a tree and hail falling as well. And again, that's up in Jackson County. And those reports have been common. Everything I'm seeing, it's involving downed trees, mostly from straight line winds, and hail. I've not seen any big flooding issues so far, but we all know it's 4 o'clock in the morning and a lot of folks are sound asleep right now. We'll know more when the sun comes up in a little bit. But we've got folks from the EMA office on the Weather Service chat with us. We've got all the folks on the socials, and it seems like we've done okay with this so far, with mainly downed trees. And again, I've seen no structural damage. So if you're just here, welcome. It's 3:55. Good morning, Memorial Day. We take this day to honor those that have paid the ultimate price for this country. And we're watching thunderstorms in the Tennessee Valley. We have one tornado warning in effect this morning as we speak. And this is in effect for parts of Marshall and extreme northeastern Cullman counties. And this will expire at 4 o'clock. It expires in 4 minutes. So I just believe that based on what we've seen, the lack of reports, the Weather Service will let this go and replace it with a severe thunderstorm warning. So hopefully this will be the last tornado warning of the morning, and it's been a very messy, convective morning. And if you watch me over the years, you know I can pinpoint a barbecue joint, Walmart, Barnes. I know the state pretty well, but in a case where you've just got these broad circulations and these line segments, you just can't do that. It's a different kind of situation this morning, and thank goodness. But still, these storms are packing a punch. We all know that. They're noisy, a lot of heavy rain, strong gusty winds, some straight line wind damage. But I would imagine at 4 o'clock, this warning will expire and will not be replaced, and we're going to have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. And let me just say this. If you're in Huntsville, the risk of severe weather is ended for you, which is a good thing. I know that Madison County technically is still in the tornado watch, but it's over. Stick a fork in it. You're done. Athens, Limestone County, the risk of severe weather has ended for you. The Shoals, risk of severe weather has ended. Moulton, severe weather risk has ended for you. If you're in Russellville, not too concerned about severe weather. The tornado watch has been canceled for all of those counties over on that side of the state. So let's kind of expand this out here. We're going to put on just the reflectivity for a minute. And we should mention that we do have storms developing farther south. For example, storms are coming into Jasper. We've got storms north of Birmingham around Warrior, Morris, Kimberly. Got storms around Smith Lake. And those are not severe. Remember, to be severe, you have to have 58 mile-per-hour winds or 1-inch diameter hail or larger. And the storms in Walker, Jefferson, Blount, Tuscaloosa, they're not close to being severe. And again, if you warn for every storm with loud thunder and heavy rain and all this stuff, it'd just be all warnings all the time. You have to draw the line somewhere, and that's the line we've drawn in the Weather Enterprise. So again, whenever you hear that warning, the severe thunderstorm warning, if the warning verifies, you've got either large hail, 1 inch in diameter or larger, or 58 mile per hour winds or greater. So just wanted to let you know, we're watching the storms, but the chance of the storms reaching severe limits for Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden, relatively small. All right, so the tornado warning is off the board. It has been canceled. The tornado warning for Marshall, Cullman, it's about to go away. So the good news, we have no tornado warnings here at 4 o'clock. That's good. In a minute, you'll see that polygon go away. In fact, let's just exit out. There you go. We're done with it. But having said that, the storms are still active, and we have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for most of DeKalb, most of Marshall counties, the northern part of Cullman County, and parts of Morgan County. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings, and you know the definition now. So again, Cullman County, including the city of Cullman, that is a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the tornado warning, it's gone. It'll go off the map in just a second. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Morgan County. And this is mainly for areas east of I-65 in Morgan and Cullman. And in Cullman County, it's basically from Good Hope north and northeast. A severe thunderstorm warning in effect for all of Marshall County, and there's your warning off the board. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for most of DeKalb County this morning. So for the first time, I want to say since what, 2 o'clock, 1:30, we have no tornado warnings in effect. we're moving in the right direction here. And also we've got severe thunderstorms, a flash flood warning in effect for parts of Lawrence, Limestone, Morgan, Madison, and Jackson counties. Kind of a big flash flood warning polygon in through there. But I don't think we'll have any additional tornado warnings this morning. Could we get one? Yes. But I'd say it's not especially likely. The main concern, strong, damaging, straight-line winds. So let's peek at things here. And that's just a straight-line wind signature, this whole thing you see here. That represents strong straight-line winds on the leading edge of that line of storms. So as that comes into places like Albertville, Geraldine, Rainsville, Fort Payne, it's going to get windy. Rain's going to pick up, a lot of thunder and lightning, and it's going to be pretty obnoxious. And there could be enough wind in here to blow down some trees and power lines, so be aware of that. Checking some of the other reports coming in here. And again, so far so good. It's just, and listen, if a tree comes down on a house, that's dangerous. They're very dangerous. And again, we're not out of the woods yet here, but so far with this, the trees down that I've seen were not on structures. The bottom line is I've not seen any structural damage at this point as of 4:02 this morning. And we hope that continues. But again, all it takes is one tree coming into one house or one mobile home, and it's a mess. I think most of us that have been around here for a while, we've been through that, and it's not good, and that can hurt people. And that's the one thing I worry about is that, oftentimes people, they're going to be locked in on the tornado warnings. They will lock in, they'll focus on it, they'll go to a safe place. But during a severe thunderstorm warning, I don't know if people do much with those. And part of that's our fault. There's too many warnings. And I've said this before, that the false alarm ratio is just way out of hand. We've got to get that down where the warnings really, really mean a lot, especially these severe thunderstorm warnings, because they're impactful. And I think we have to do a better job of communicating the risk here. And not all severe thunderstorm warnings are the same. Some are issued for large hail, some for damaging winds, some for both. And I think in this case, the greatest concern is coming from damaging wind. Yes, we have hail. A lot of hail we've had. But it looks like the hail has been relatively small in size. So this line will keep on moving to the south. And again, as long as a severe thunderstorm warning is up, you could see hail and strong straight-line winds. But I stress we have no tornado warning in effect here. And the greatest wind velocities are showing up right in these warnings, right in through here. And again, you've got severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for parts of Cullman County, including the city of Cullman, and then northeast from Cullman, up into much of Marshall County, Guntersville, Arab, Albertville, Lake Guntersville, up into DeKalb County, coming into Fort Payne, Rainsville, Geraldine, Henniger, Sylvania, Ider, Scottsboro. That's where really the heavier winds are south of Scottsboro now, but that line segment will produce strong straight-line winds, maybe enough in spots to blow down some trees. And we believe those storms should slowly weaken as they come down toward Blount, Etowah, and Cherokee counties. And most likely, those storms should be under severe limits as they come into places like Aniana, Gadsden, Weiss Lake, Leesville, Center, Cedar Bluff, Galesville. But they'll still be noisy and obnoxious and produce gusty winds and maybe some small hail. But again, we believe the trend will be for weakening over the next couple of hours. So looking at some more of the reports coming in here, and we thank everybody for sending them to us. Your photos are our window to the world here. So let's see here. Add one quick video. We'll kind of watch this together. This was taken from, let's see, this was from Tony. And again, that lightning has just been nonstop. It has been like this throughout the morning for a lot of folks. Nonstop lightning, thunder, rain, a very rude Monday morning wake-up call for a lot of folks. And, of course, again, at the moment, we have no active tornado warnings in effect. Here's more of the lightning. This was taken up in northern Madison County earlier this morning. And as we often say, there's no such thing as what? Heat lightning. All lightning you see is produced by a thunderstorm here. The storm might be 50, 60, 100 miles away. So far away you can't hear thunder. A lot of hail. The hail has been relatively small. I would imagine in pockets we've had larger hail, but it's been pretty intense. In fact, this was taken, I want to say this is in Morgan County. We had hailstones up to about, accumulating up to a size of depth of almost 2 inches there. Smaller hail. But so far, most of the damage reports we have seen related to downed trees. All these shots were taken within that line. Many of these in Jackson County. Jackson County's been kind of the focus so far over the past couple of hours. But let's go back to the radar, as we like to do. So if you're just joining us, we're at 4:07. We're watching a line of severe thunderstorms that's over northeast Alabama with potential for strong straight-line winds. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for parts of Cullman, Morgan, Marshall, Jackson, DeKalb counties in northeast Alabama. And the main concern, strong, potentially damaging straight-line wind. Reports of dime-sized hail in Grant. Got a power outage in Grant. Got a power outage in the Blake area outside of Fort Payne. And of course, most of these power outages are related to downed trees and power lines. Our friend Heath Morton up in Gunnersville reports estimated winds of about 50 miles per hour there. That's the kind of winds that we're seeing with this. And again, remember, to be severe, the winds are going to be 58 or higher. That's the severe wind criteria. And again, seeing a number of power outages. In fact, let me check real quick and get some numbers here. So far in Alabama, we're showing a little over 5,000 people with no power. 5,238 power outages this morning. The county with the greatest number of outages, Morgan. Also outages reported in parts of Jackson, Madison County, Marshall, DeKalb. And again, that's with that line of storms. So again, we'll sit here and watch this for a little longer. Again, typically I'm live when we have tornado warnings. In effect, we have not had a tornado warning since 4 o'clock. We've gone 8 minutes, and I just don't think we'll have another one. Could there be another one? Yes, but I'd say it's fairly unlikely. But let's quickly go to the larger display, and let's go down to the Birmingham radar. And I wanted to mention that we do have some fairly active storms that are over eastern Mississippi. Lauderdale, Kemper counties, and those are about to cross over into Sumter County. And the main concern down here, it's going to be from hail, and the air is pretty unstable down here. And also, if you're in Tuscaloosa, you got a rude wake-up call with a cluster of storms coming through this morning at 4:09. Not severe. Loud, yes. Heavy rain, yes. Thunder, lightning, yes. Weird clouds, yes. But again, not to the severe criteria. And again, that line extends right down Interstate 5920. But again, you can see potential for some fairly large hail in northern Lauderdale and southern Kemper counties in Mississippi. And the Weather Service in Jackson has issued severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for those two counties. We'll keep an eye on those. We don't expect a tornado problem that far south. The shear values are not especially high there. It is very noisy in Jasper right now. Got a big thunderstorm cluster sitting on top of Jasper, but again, not severe. By classic definition, we do not have 1-inch diameter hail. We do not have 58-mile-per-hour winds. And it's the same thing for the cluster in northeastern Jefferson and Blount counties. The problems begin up here, as you can see, with the storms coming through parts of Morgan, Cullman, Marshall, Jackson, DeKalb. Those counties have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for potential for damaging straight-line wind that in spots could possibly exceed 50 miles per hour. And also some flooding issues, a possibility as well. Got hail reported in Albertville by the Albertville airport. Don't see a size of hail, and again, most likely it's small. And again, you can see that the warnings come down to Holly Pond, Boaz, Fort Payne, Collinsville. And what happens now, we have a CWA cross. The Huntsville Weather Service office covers those counties. The Birmingham Weather Service office covers Blount, Etowah, Cherokee counties. And we'll see if they issue a severe thunderstorm warning for those counties shortly. And again, almost all the damage reports we're seeing early this morning, it involves downed trees. Got reports of pea-sized hail in Albertville. And again, so far, most of the hail reports have been relatively small in the last hour or so. Take a look at the latest video here. And this is going to be from Albertville, up on Sand Mountain. Again, they report pea-sized hail, obviously raining heavily. Gusty winds. Again, that's what it looks like for those that are underneath these heavier storms this morning. And let's see here. I'm going to drop a couple more in here real quick. Again, the video you're seeing is from Albertville. Look at another piece of video here. This is going to be from Cullman County. And again, that's just going to be some of the nonstop lightning, the strobe show. That video was taken from Welty in Cullman County. And we'll go back to the video that was taken up in Albertville. And let's see, you got some video from Morgan County. We'll drop this in. We love the video because it gives people an actual view of what's happening here. This is coming from Eva in Morgan County. And most of these videos kind of look the same, and obviously it's a very similar experience for most everybody in North Alabama dealing with the storms this morning. Tremendous amounts of rain, gusty winds, small hail. But I've not seen any reports of major structural damage. We've had a lot of trees down, and it seems like most of the trees were down from damaging straight-line winds. We've had a lot of tornado warnings during the morning, but I think almost all of the damage we're seeing here, it's very consistent with strong straight-line winds. So certainly we've heard of no injuries, no structural damage. So far so good. But the light show has been pretty tremendous across the northern part of the state. All right, 4:15. Let's go back to the radar. And thanks to everybody for staying with us early this morning. We are thankful that you're awake with us. The main concern for severe storms is northeast Alabama, but again, we're watching heavier storms pushing into Sumter County in west Alabama, and these storms are likely producing some hail. We do not expect a tornado problem that far south. The wind shear values are much lower there. But if you're in York, Livingston, Emell, Gainesville, Alabama, you could easily see some hail with this cluster, and that'll be coming into Greene and Hale and Marengo counties as well. And even as we speak, you can see storms pushing into Tuscaloosa County. In fact, the heavier part of the storms now in the eastern side of Tuscaloosa, out toward Alberta City and Holt, and then down Highway 69, down toward Moundville, Utah, got a pretty good storm, but all of these are not severe. We've probably got some small hail falling in Sumter County, again around Emell and Gainesville, but under severe limits. Got a pretty good cluster of storms in Walker County. I would imagine we have some hail falling near Cordova, Barton's Chapel, right here, kind of between Alabama 5 and Interstate 22. Got some decent rain falling over much of Cullman County. And again, Cullman County is under a severe thunderstorm warning. And it looks like the Weather Service in Birmingham has now posted a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Blount, Etowah, and Cherokee counties. So that's our new warning that covers a larger area here. So we've got severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for Cullman, for parts of Blount, much of Etowah County, much of Cherokee County. The severe thunderstorm warnings would include places like Aniana, Gadsden, Susan Moore, Blountsville, Cleveland, Rainbow City, Southside, Leesburg, Galesville, Cedar Bluff. All those areas under a severe thunderstorm warning for the batch of storms dropping in from the north, and they produce some wind damage. And that could easily be the case. We don't see any evidence of a tornado at this point. Could there be a small little isolated spin-up tornado? Yes, but it's not especially likely at this point. Again, watching the various reports come in from the Weather Service, and again, the same thing we're telling you here. We're more concerned about strong, gusty, straight-line winds and some hail. We'll drop in some more video here. And again, I'd like to show, we've learned through social science studies. And let me just say this, the social scientists have really helped us. We're kind of physical science people. We do physical science. We're not the best at communicating, and they have really, really helped us when it comes to communication. And one of the things we learned is the fact that people want to see the weather. The radar's fine, but a lot of people, they just see a bucket of spilled paint. They don't necessarily see the danger here. So this video is from Albertville. And again, pretty classic example of what everybody's seeing. Heavy rain, a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning. And again, all of these videos taken over this line of storms pushing through northeast Alabama. And a lot of folks have been up with us this morning watching the weather. And then it's been a fairly active morning. Some people just have a hard time sleeping through this stuff. Some people can. And I tell people all the time, you don't need to stay up all night. If you've got a weather radio, that sucker will wake you up. If you've got a warning, it will do the job. It really will. And you don't need to stay up all night. But some of the weather dweebs do, geeks, nerds, dorks, and weenies, just because they're interested in this stuff. But the good news for those just joining us here, we've heard of no major structural damage in Alabama. We've had tornado warnings during the morning. That's why we're here. And the Weather Service in Huntsville, they were trying to catch some maybe little isolated spin-up tornadoes. And I don't know if we've had any of those, but we've certainly had some strong gusty winds and some down trees and power lines. We've had reports like this, and we've got some folks without power. And a lot of smaller hail. Most of the hail reports have been relatively small. And again, in some cases, you had an accumulation of hail like this, of smaller hail. So this is where we are. We've got that line of severe storms over northeast Alabama, coming through Marshall and DeKalb counties, coming into Albertville, Geraldine, Collinsville, Crossville, Rainsville, Fort Payne. And that will continue sagging to the south. Storms coming through Cullman. And you can see warnings in effect now for parts of Cullman, Blount, Etowah, Cherokee, Marshall, and DeKalb counties in northeast Alabama. If you're in Huntsville, risk of severe weather is over. Scottsboro, still raining, but the risk of severe storms has ended for you. Athens, Decatur, again, you're not done with the rain, but in terms of the severe threat, the risk of severe storms has ended there. But let's kind of go back to the south. We're watching these storms southwest of Birmingham. And again, you can see thunderstorms coming through Jasper, down toward Tuscaloosa, Moundville, Utah, and to Sumter County. The storms in Kemper and Lauderdale County, Mississippi, have shown signs of producing larger hail. That's the reason for the warnings there. And we'll see if they maintain those cores coming into Sumter County. Small hail, a pretty good possibility if you're in Sumter County, if you're in York or Livingston, Geiger, Emell. You'll probably see some small hail, but again, we don't see evidence of larger hail at this point. And that's the reason there's no warning in effect there. And these storms will be coming through the Birmingham metro fairly soon in a weakened state. But having said that, you'll have thunder, lightning, heavy rain, the full package. And got a few more storms over Monroe County, Mississippi that are fairly strong, but again, they're under severe limits. We see no warnings at all back over northeastern Mississippi. And the greatest concern for severe storms for the next hour will be east of I-65 and north of Interstate 20, in that zone from Cullman to Gadsden to Weiss Lake. And again, severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for parts of Cullman, Blount, Marshall, Etowah, Cherokee, and DeKalb counties in northeast Alabama for the possibility of strong straight-line winds and some hail. And we'll keep looking at some of the images here. And we'll drop these in to get an idea of what's happening. Let's see here. Let me expand this out a little bit. When I'm doing this, by the way, I'm kind of a one-man band. In fact, I am a one-man band. On the TV side, when you got the two-man thing going on, you can sometimes function a little better here, but it's okay. So this is some of the damage, and this is coming from Stevenson in Jackson County with downed trees and lines. And again, obviously, a lot of folks have no power early this morning. And again, the latest power outage count I saw was about 5,200 across the state. Of course, most all of these outages were up in the Tennessee Valley of North Alabama. And this is going to be some video coming from Guntersville. Same situation, heavy rain, thunder, lightning, maybe some small hail. And these scenes have been pretty common across northeast Alabama early this morning. That's what folks are waking up to. And they have been dealing with this for several hours. The storms kind of moved into the Tennessee Valley a little after midnight. And as expected, it's been kind of a shake and bake, rock and roll morning. for the Tennessee Valley. And technically, we still have a tornado watch in effect for the parts of northeast Alabama. It technically runs until 8, but it's been canceled already for most of northwest Alabama, and that watch will be canceled well before 8 o'clock. It's 4:25, and the storms are really starting to weaken. They don't have the same punch they had earlier this morning. But let's look at our big picture, and we have thunderstorms that are progressing through the state. Risk of severe weather is ended for Huntsville, Athens, the Shoals, Decatur, Russellville, Moulton. If you're in any of those places, the watch has been canceled. You're good to go. The severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for parts of Cullman, Marshall, DeKalb, Blount, Etowah, and Cherokee counties. Those are our severe thunderstorm warning polygons. Other storms that are not severe are approaching Birmingham, and they'll be in the city here fairly soon. Those extend down into eastern Tuscaloosa County, parts of northern Hale, Greene, and Sumter counties. And again, from time to time, the Weather Service in Jackson, they posted warnings for some of the counties in eastern Mississippi for the possibility of large hail. I would say the tornado threat for the rest of the morning is very low. Not zero, but very low. Main concern areas north and east of Birmingham in terms of severe, with the chance of some hail and strong winds. And there could be some hail southwest of Birmingham, too, small hail and gusty winds. But in terms of storms reaching the severe criteria, large hail, damaging winds, the greater chance of that north and east of Birmingham. And that's the reason for the warnings you see in effect there. And we should also mention there's a large flash flood warning polygon in effect for parts of Lawrence, Limestone, Morgan, Madison, and Jackson counties in northeast Alabama. Got a report of a tree down on Alabama Highway 79 in Scottsboro. Jackson County EMA reporting nearly 3,000 people without power in Jackson County this morning. Report of some flooding in Arab. 4th and 10th Street in Arab reported flooded this morning. Reports of pea-sized hail in downtown Albertville. These reports coming from the Marshall County EMA. And again, the storms keep on sagging to the south. So we'll stay with this a little while longer. Typically, I just do this when we have active tornado warnings in effect. But since it's we got storms coming into Birmingham and people are going to wake up and wonder what's happening, we'll stay with it for a little while longer. And for those that don't know, I have other things I have to do. A lot of people that watch on YouTube and Facebook, my main job in life, I'm the chief meteorologist for the ABC TV affiliate in Birmingham. And I do a segment on the morning show on ABC 3340 every morning. And then we do the regular weather briefing videos on YouTube and Facebook. And we typically crank those out about 5 o'clock. And I do the weather on 24 radio stations. And I write a blog post, a meteorological discussion on the blog, alabamawx.com. And doing all that takes a little time. So, for some of the guys that are on social, they don't have to worry about that. But with all this other stuff, I'll have to break away here in just a little bit to handle the TV, radio, and the regular weather briefing stuff we do. But we'll stay with this for a while longer. And if you're just joining us, we have no active tornado warnings. We did have some tornado warnings this morning. As the Weather Service in Huntsville, they were trying to catch some small, brief, spin-up tornadoes. But we've not had a warning since 4 o'clock, and we are now at 4:29. No tornado warnings. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. So let's kind of tour the radar. And we've got strong storms over much of Cullman, Marshall, and DeKalb counties. I would say we've got some pretty good hail coming into Fort Payne right here. It's coming right up on Interstate 59 and US 11. Looks like some hail is falling at Albertville. And most likely it's dime size to quarter size, somewhere in that range right there. We'll put the velocity on. And this is the radar coming out of Birmingham. And the good news, the velocities have gone have gone down a little bit over the last 30 minutes, not as intense as they were earlier. Still, there could be enough to blow down some trees and power lines. In fact, just got a report of a tree down on Highway 79 South around Cherokee School in Guntersville. And I was just there a few weeks ago doing a weather program. That is a great school. But everybody's out for summer, except for a few systems. Most systems are out. And again, the line you see here, and again, there's the evidence of the larger hail right at Albertville, top of Sand Mountain. And in DeKalb County, around Fort Payne, down toward Powell in extreme northern Cherokee County. And certainly gusty winds are still happening here. Just good rains falling in parts of Cullman County, Blount, and then down into the western part of the Birmingham metro. And we just don't see any strong wind velocities with the storms coming into Birmingham, which is a good thing. But there's a look at our storms coming into the Birmingham metro. They will be noisy with thunder and lightning and heavy rain, gusty winds. Got a report of several trees down in Arab, up in Marshall County with the storms. Got a new batch of storms coming into Sumter, Greene, Pickens counties in West Alabama. A lot of thunder, lightning. The cores have come way down. We see no evidence of large hail. That's the reason we have no warnings in effect there for those counties. And like we say, if we warn every time we have little pea-sized hail or loud thunder, it would be all warnings all the time, and nobody would pay attention. And we have a problem now with people not paying attention to severe thunderstorm warnings. We have to cut back on the false alarms. And again, up north, we've got additional storms coming into Marion, Lamar counties, from Mississippi, from Monroe County, Mississippi, and the same thing. There could be some small hail in there. I'm just watching all the reports coming in from the various Weather Service offices. And watching some of the reports coming in from you. We're always thankful for that, because your videos and your pictures are our window to the world. Really and truly. And we'll take another look here. Let's see what's happening in Fort Payne. So this is some video coming in from DeKalb County. And we've seen these type videos throughout the night all over North Alabama. Heavy rain, gusty winds, some small hail, a lot of thunder, lightning, and again, in some cases, some trees coming down. And obviously, when a tree comes down on top of a structure, that is no good. But we've not heard of that. I've not seen any really structural damage throughout the event this morning. And considering what's happened in Texas, north of Dallas, that horrible tornado on the Cook-Denton County line, up around Valley View, Sanger. That was a bad situation Saturday night. For those that don't know, I used to work in Dallas years and years ago. When I was very young, I was transferred to the CBS affiliate in Dallas, Channel 4, KDFW, and I worked there as a chief meteorologist back in the 80s. So I'm pretty familiar with that. Even though it's been a long time, I know the market well, and that was a horrible situation where many people lost their life. We had some mobile home deaths, but this was right there on the Cook-Denton County line north of Fort Worth. And we also had other major tornadoes in parts of Kentucky and Missouri yesterday, Sunday. And so far, what we've seen in Alabama, nothing like any of that, thank goodness. All right, so back to the radar. What you see there is what you get. Again, I'll stay with this for a few more minutes. And again, at some point, I'm going to have to break away and get to the regular weather duties this morning. Somebody just said, do you ever sleep? And the answer is, you know my answer. If you've been around me for a long time, you know the answer. I have not slept much since what year? 1973. I was in high school, and that was when I started working at a radio station in high school. I would work before school, I would work after school, and I slept about 3 hours a night. Here I am, still sleeping 3 hours a night. Most nights, but obviously last night, how about 0? But that's okay. There's no school programs today, so I can take a nap this morning. But also keep in mind, we do expect additional storms to form later today. This is the severe weather outlook for today after 7 a.m. And we have a level 2 out of 5 risk for areas south of Interstate 20. And this is for additional scattered storms that form this afternoon and this evening south of an approaching front. And we don't expect any tornado problem later today. The problem would be from hail and strong gusty winds. And it's not going to rain everywhere this afternoon. But where the storms do form, they could be strong. So again, that's the severe weather outlook later today. So keep that in mind. But back to the radar. Not going to forget to change the graphic this time. I keep forgetting sometimes when I'm doing this thing live by myself. I'm by myself. I've got to switch everything too. So severe thunderstorm warnings in effect as we speak for parts of Cullman, Marshall, DeKalb, Blount, Etowah, Cherokee counties. This is north and northeast of Birmingham, the yellow polygons on that map. There is a flash flood warning in effect for parts of Lawrence, Limestone, Morgan, Madison, and Jackson counties. But the heavier storms over the next several hours will gradually shift southward, and we've got storms coming into the Birmingham metro. As you can see, they are under severe limits. You might see some small hail. You'll have some gusty winds. Heavy rain, thunder, lightning. But again, under severe limits, and the odds of any severe storms for Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Anniston, very low, as these storms should weaken with time over the next several hours. And again, I really think a decent chunk of the mid to late morning and the early afternoon will be dry. And then the new storms that form this afternoon, mainly along and south of Interstate 20, and even there, not raining everywhere. But where the storms form later today, they could be strong. Heavier rains coming back into parts of Marion County, a pretty good storm about to come into Lamar County, and that might produce some small hail. But again, I just don't believe a warning is needed for that. And the storms over northeast Alabama have shown a weakening trend. The wind velocities have come down. Hail reports have been small. Reflectivity has been coming down. And that weakening trend has been expected throughout the morning hours. Watching some more of the reports coming in. And again, no structural damage. That's a good thing. I've just not seen. We might have some somewhere, but I've not seen it so far. But again, trees down, yes. A lot of trees were blown down overnight over the Tennessee Valley of North Alabama. And we did have some, for those that are just waking up, we had some tornado warnings after 2 a.m. The Weather Service in Huntsville trying to catch some small spin-up tornadoes, but to my knowledge, we've had no tornado touchdowns. All of this damage I've seen so far has been related to damaging straight-line winds. Whole lot of thunder and lightning. These things are very aggravating. Of course, some people love storms. That's one thing about weather. I don't like to call weather good or bad. That's a very relative term. For some people, good weather is a good storm. For some people, good weather is when it's 10 degrees outside. Everybody's got a different opinion of good and bad weather, so I try and stay away from that. I'll let you make that decision, but very active storms throughout the night. All these videos were taken across the Tennessee Valley during the night. Some people say it's good sleeping weather. Some people can't sleep a wink when we have this stuff. Everybody's different. I have totally learned that. And, the one thing I will never do is tell you how to dress. I've never understood why some, TV meteorologists try and explain to people, this is what you should be wearing today. I fully believe you have enough sense to figure that out yourself. And again, everybody's different. I wear cargo shorts when it's 10 degrees outside. And, the TV guys, you need to bundle up today. Put on your thick parkas. No, I wear cargo shorts when it's 10 degrees. So you figure out what, I'll tell you the weather and you figure out what to wear. I perfectly believe you're capable of doing that. I'm not into one of these deals where you tell people how to dress. Never quite figured that one out. All right, so once again, I'll hang in here for about 5 more minutes, and at 4:45, I've got to break away. Typically, I start the morning shift here at 4 o'clock. My sleep schedule, it's 1 to 4 a.m. most nights, 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. Get up at 4, and this is when the morning shift starts. I'm late starting the morning shift, but it's Memorial Day, so I can get away with being a little late today. There's no school programs, obviously, today. By the way, the next book signing we've got is Saturday in Selma. We're coming to Selma. I'll post the details on the social platforms later today. And again, if you're new here, we typically do the live twice-a-day videos here in the morning at about, 5:15, and in the afternoon about 2:45, weekdays. Weekends is needed, so we welcome you to subscribe and hang in there with us. And we do this every day, good weather, bad weather. We're here. But we've got a line of strong to severe storms pushing through northeast Alabama. We have heavier storms from near Cullman, Huntsville, Blunt Springs, over to Susan Moore, Albertville, Fort Payne, the northern shore of Weiss Lake. Those storms are going to be affecting Gadsden, Center, Leesburg here in the next few minutes, ultimately Aniana. And within the warnings, where you see the yellow polygons on this map, there's a chance you're going to have some hail and strong straight-line winds. That's the reason the warnings are issued. But the good news, the intensities have been slowly coming down with these storms. The velocities have been coming down. The reflectivity cores have been coming down. So hopefully we will not have any additional severe thunderstorm warnings, but it's always possible. But I'd say it's not especially likely. And again, for the Birmingham metro, storms are moving in from the west. And the storms will make a lot of racket. But understand there's no severe weather in the Birmingham metro. No risk of any tornadoes. Same thing for Tuscaloosa. Those storms approaching Centerville, Brent, Greensboro. They'll be coming across I-65, the Birmingham metro, down into Shelby County. And again, loud, heavy rain, kind of a rude wake-up call, but we just don't see any evidence of a tornado at this point, and we don't expect it, quite frankly. And again, technically, we do have a tornado watch for a few counties in northeast Alabama until 8 o'clock, but I think that will be canceled early. And let's see here. The warnings for Marshall, DeKalb, Cullman, that's going to expire in about 1 to 2 minutes. And that will leave the warnings for parts of Blount, Etowah, and Cherokee counties. And again, these are severe thunderstorm warnings, not tornado warnings. And most likely those will not be extended. What the Weather Service will do, they replace those with these significant weather outlooks or statements for storms that are strong but under severe limits. And again, what we're trying to do is cut back the number of warnings because we're just afraid that people don't pay attention to severe thunderstorm warnings. And sometimes they're very important with widespread wind damage that are not tornado winds but straight-line winds. And we just want people to start paying attention to those again. And we'll watch the storms that redevelop this afternoon. By the way, the warning for Blount, Etowah, Cherokee counties, that is technically in effect until 5:15 this morning. And they'll probably leave that in effect. You can see the warnings have expired for Cullman, Marshall, and DeKalb. So the only warnings we have now, that one warning in terms of severe thunderstorms, a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Blount, Etowah, Cherokee counties. The warnings to the north have expired as the storms have weakened. And again, the storms continue the weakening trend. And most likely they'll be under severe limits coming into Aniana, Gadsden, Weiss Lake. But still, they'll pack a punch. And again, for Birmingham, understand you've got storms moving into the city right now that are producing heavy rain, maybe some small hail, thunder, lightning, but there is zero evidence of a tornado. If there was a tornado there, there would be a tornado warning in effect. I know people see me live on the stream here. They're thinking, uh-oh. And we had tornado warnings earlier this morning. And that's the reason this live stream was initiated. But we're about to terminate here, and I'll be right back on the air in a matter of minutes here on Facebook and YouTube with the daily morning weather briefing. We'll talk about what's to come today for the rest of the week and the upcoming weekend. And again, we'll be live again about 5:15 or so. 5:15 to 5:30. We'll be on ABC 3340 on Good Morning Alabama. I do a segment there at 6:15. We'll have the blog post, the daily discussion up by 6 o'clock. But again, there's our big picture as we're getting set to wrap this up. Let me check for reports one more time before we go. I have not seen any Alabama State bird photographs so far this morning, which is a good thing. Maybe people tied them down last night. In fact, I might actually have some video here. Let me drop this one in. Let's see here. All right. Let's see what we got here. I think this is coming from Sand Mountain. All right, you ready? Let's roll it. Let's see if I've not seen this. We're watching it together for the first time. I see the state bird out there. Looks like it stayed in place. Good. Good deal. This is coming from Albertville, close to Albertville High School, home of the Aggies. You know, we were doing a book event in Cordova, I want to say last summer, and we were almost literally hit in the head with a flying trampoline, the state bird. I think, how appropriate would that be for me to be hit in the head with a state bird? We were wrapping up, a big storm was blowing in, and man, that thing was flying. It was just literally flying through the air. But I ducked. But again, that's Albertville, and that's a sign of what people are dealing with early this morning across the state. The lightning show has been tremendous. And again, just to kind of wrap it up, the biggest issue I've seen so far, down trees across the state. And I just have not heard of any major structural damage. Now, we might have some I don't know about, but normally if it happens, we'll find out about it through either the EMA offices or folks follow me on social media, but hopefully that is the case. A lot of hail this morning in the heavier storms. In some cases, small hail accumulated to a depth of almost 2 inches there. But yeah, the lightning show was good tonight. Pretty awesome stuff. All right, so before we go, one more look. Kind of stick with it for one more minute here as the storms come into Birmingham with gusty winds, thunder, lightning, under severe limits. The one warning we have one warning left that is a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Blount, Etowah, Cherokee counties. For the line segment dropping south, the storms have been weakening a bit, and I hope that this might be the last severe thunderstorm warning in the morning. Not guaranteeing that, but we believe that might be the case. We note heavier storms coming into Lamar County. If you're in Vernon, Sulligent, you might see some small hail. Utah, it's rocking and rolling there down in Greene County. You might have some small hail falling there. But again, to be severe, the hail has to be 1 inch in diameter or larger. That's the size of a quarter. And we think any hail in Greene County is well below that criteria. And again, the storm's coming into Birmingham, maybe producing some small hail, but again, not at severe levels. And one more warning to the north. We should mention we still have a flash flood warning for parts of the Tennessee Valley from the heavier rains they saw earlier. But the risk of severe weather is over for the Tennessee Valley. You have made it through the night. And again, when the new storms form this afternoon, if you're in the valley, we don't expect any severe weather there. The better chance of any severe storms later today, south of you, the southern two-thirds of the state. But again, heavier storms coming into Gadsden, Weiss Lake, Aniana, Birmingham. And that'll be slowly diminishing with time this morning. And again, we'll watch those new storms this afternoon. So at this point, I hate to go, but I got to go because we've got the regular duties here. So again, for those that are new, glad you're here. We're typically live every morning at 5:15, every afternoon at 2:45. Facebook, YouTube, it's a simulcast. And, of course, we're live like this as needed. And we'll have the next video coming up in only about 15 minutes or so. So I'll be right back. So, hey, but I've got to get the graphics together and do some quick. The one thing that worries me, I don't have time to do analytical thinking sometimes when it gets so busy. And part of the weather process is doing analytical thinking. You've got to have a few minutes to gather your thoughts, to think back on analogs, events like this in the past, modeling, the biases, how you forecast the weather, what you're going to write, what you're going to say, consistency. All of this stuff takes a little bit of time for, thinking. So that's the one thing is this has morphed into a almost 24/7 job, which is great. I love it. I can't wait to go to work every day. You've got to reserve that time. So I'm going to spend a little time here, get the forecast together for the next 7 days or so. And we'll be back in about, let's see, what time is it right now? It's 4:52. I'll be back about 5:15. So hang tight. We'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.